Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vainglory Professional League here on a wonderful Wednesday night. I am your host, Dragonborn. Joining me tonight, it's the Nominee, as we look to cast you guys some exciting matchups here on the Fold. You guys are watching, of course, the 3v3 championship here in the winter season, and we are knee-deep in the quarterfinals. And in the middle of the week, that will actually conclude with, on Saturday, a champion being crowned here on VIS, right here on these stations. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. The Nominee, we've got some exciting matchups to get ready for you guys. And let's show everybody real quickly. Here are our matchups tonight. We are starting off today with Nova versus Jimmy Fan Club. That is a combination of all ex-pro players who have played on the professional level at some level, either Challengers or even Vainglory 8, looking to come in here and upset really who's been a really exciting team to watch. It has been Nova. They've been kind of that mid-tier Vainglory 8 team, which by all accounts is really a top 5 team in all of North America. And, you know, they really are one of the stronger teams to contest Tribe's crown here in VIS, but Jimmy Fan Club are looking to come in here red hot.
Yeah, it'll definitely be exciting to see if they can bring them down. Obviously, as you mentioned, Nova, varying performances last season. We've seen them rise all the way up, I think at one point, to the 2nd or 3rd place spot down in the end there. They ended up dropping down into the 4th and 5th place spots. So, you know, they definitely are a team that can compete with the best. Again, Vainglory 8 team, we know the skill level is there, but they're going up against names that are very familiar with the competitive scene as well. And that can be a huge challenge. You know, we've seen a lot of Nova and how they play together. And looking at the opposition, we can't say the same. Yes, there's going to be footage on them on their respective teams, but this is more of a collaboration team than anything else. So we haven't really seen them play together.
No, absolutely. This is something that, you know, on paper looks really good. Their last week performance was strong. Both these two teams easily handle their competition, so we really do expect this to be a very close matchup potentially. It really comes down to how Nova plays, because I think that Jimmy Fan Club could take them the distance. And, you know, we'll get to the Vision versus Team Ferox a little bit later today, but let's jump right into this matchup specifically as we look at the rosters here in a little bit more detail. And, you know, Lightning T, Grass, Standing Solo, Neon Fire, Mixi, these are all players who've been playing competitive Vainglory for over a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Mixi's one of those players that when he does play his best, he can compete with anyone in the Vainglory 8. Now, it's something as a matter of consistency. Will he bring a high enough level of consistency today that he can take down Nova? You know, again, a team that has looked very, very strong. And when you're going up against Truth in the lane, which is very likely where Mixi will be, that is definitely going to be something that we have to keep our eye on. Now, obviously on Jimmy Fan Club, we also have Neon Fire, Lightning T, Standing Solo, and Grasscoon. I would expect the starting lineup to be Mixi, Lightning T, and Standing Solo, but we'll have to see.
No, absolutely.
As I open the right version of Vainglory on my iPad.
Absolutely. Yeah, all right. We are just waiting for a few players to get in here. We'll be jumping into the draft. A quick reminder for everybody, this is double band draft. So if you're tuning in, of course, for the first time, but if you've been here for the last couple of days, you know that is the case. But we'll be jumping into this matchup in a quick second once all the players get in. One quick note to all the viewers as you're watching, you may notice that Lorelei will not be played at all today. You could see a ban, I guess, technically, but she is globally banned for the remaining of this tournament. This is not to do with her being overpowered, although she can be a strong pick in a lot of circumstances. This is due to a pretty sizable visual glitch here. I just want to let you guys know she is globally banned, and all the teams had been notified immediately following last night's matches. With that being said, there are a ton of heroes that we have seen prioritized, and I want you, Denominator, to talk real quickly about what we've seen so far in VISPRO. It has been really a big Ringo Varia show for the most part, and those two heroes have dominated our drafts. Who are these other heroes that I think these teams need to look at and need to prioritize in their first ban and pick phase?
I definitely think Vox is a very strong pick still. We don't see him as much because he is outranged by several of these other heroes that we see. So that is something to take into effect. However, if the draft goes the right way, if you're able to ban away that Ringo, then Vox can be a very difficult hero to deal with, specifically with some of the upgrades we've had to some of these items in the recent patch. Obviously, looking at the spell sword, that's one that's really come and starts to shine now. It's had a massive increase to its base weapon power. And when you add on the energy regeneration effect as well as the cooldown, it can make somebody like Vox, who in those first couple levels can struggle because he's spamming out his pulse and his sonic zoom as frequently as possible, he's now able to keep those abilities up all the more frequently.
Absolutely. He's definitely something to keep an eye on, and we've seen him played when Ringo's taken off the board quite frequently. I will also mention that we did see yesterday Baron being picked up, which was interesting, but it was Tribe. It was D'Enzio. And while I don't see Baron in a lot of these matchups because, while I think he's strong this patch, he just seems to be, prioritized. Other heroes are prioritized over him. Definitely something to keep in mind that he is in the meta and he is fairly strong right now.
Oh, absolutely. Baron has had some changes in the past that have brought him down to a little bit more of the level of mortals, I guess is the easiest way to put it. But, again, I do think in the right draft, he would play very well. But he also takes a very coordinated team because while his jump jets can be used to get him out of danger, it can also position him a little too far away from the fight to actually be a benefit if used improperly. And that's something to make note of. If you're separating that massive damage source from the team and then the team's left to take the onslaught that the enemies are bringing, then Baron can either be subjected to that massive amount of damage or leave his team, as fish food.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to be getting into this draft in just a second. I did just want to mention Denominate, and we've talked a lot about these teams. The player to watch this matchup, though, really has to be Lone. This guy was on fire last week, and he played phenomenally. And really, when Nova plays their best, it's when Lone Delphi is in his groove. So he's definitely going to be one to watch. We've seen these jungle matchups being super critical in these games. Samuel and Baptiste, they have been pivotal in these drafts, in fact. So I would actually say right now in 2.11, Lone Delphi is in a sweet spot because both those two heroes, if you can get on one of them, they are very, very strong and they're hard to counter. Even with some early burst comp heroes, they're very, very hard because of how strong Samuel gets so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And Samuel, one that we specifically know Lone Delphi for, one of his signature heroes in several of the previous updates that we've seen play. Obviously, today we'll be on the most recent update. With Lorelei will be globally banned because of a spectator bug with her. So just keep that in mind, everybody. But as we get into this ban phase, I definitely expect to see some prioritization either on the pick or ban of both Ringo and Varia, as well as we may see stuff like the Grace is going to be the first one. I didn't think that was going to be so early, but that is going to be the first one off. And there's that Varia. So the Ringo's open, but do you want to first pick that?
We only saw one team do it, well, in the last week, one team first pick it, and it was Tribe, and you know what? They could kind of do that. They're mechanically so gifted, they played so well, but it is a risk, like you mentioning here, or suggesting at least, and I typically haven't seen. I think a lot of teams love to go with the Turnwalker first, and there you have it, right out of the gate, because, first of all, you don't want to give away a pick that you can counter early, and Ringo can be countered if you are if you're on B side, if you're on A side specifically. So you got to be a little careful there. I like the Turnwalker pick here. Very strong support right now in 2.11.
Yeah, definitely is. Very capable of setting up plays. The amount of crowd control and repositioning that he offers onto the enemies can definitely set up, even those extra couple steps when you use that Torment could be the difference between life and death, as well as obviously when you have that hook and chain down on multiple enemies, it's going to spread and share some of that damage between all of the hook targets. And that's not limited to heroes. I've seen a couple times where a jungle minion will get hooked up to a escaping hero, and that damage does pass through those chains. But a Blackfeather, first one to be picked up here on the B side by Jimmy Fan Club.
And when we talk about heroes that are worth the risk to pick up on your first pick, Usually you'll only do this on B side because you've got that final pick for countering, but it is going to be Ringo, that Varia, and Blackfeather. Blackfeather has, in the right circumstances, been unstoppable. I mean, he can go CP, he can go weapons, so he's a flex pick, and you're really not going to want to pick a non-flex pick so early on in the draft. So I really like what Jimmy Fan Club did here. If you're going to take one of those power picks quickly, yeah, it's going to be one of those 3 heroes.
I would definitely expect it to be. I like that they've taken the Ringo off. We see on Jimmy Fan Club, they've banned away both the Varia and the Ringo, those super weapon hyper carry heroes that we know and love so much this patch. And 2 captains now banned away from the side of Nova. They've taken the Grace and the Arden off. And I do like this because the Churnwalker is a very, very potent captain, and you're taking away some of those huge playmakers away from the enemy. Now they're left to struggle. We know Lorelei's globally banned, so there's essentially 3 very powerful captains banned away, and they're going to go with the Finn.
Finn has been a support we actually haven't seen a whole lot of in the meta. We saw him once play before here, though, in this championship. And again, a lot of times, if you've got a lot of the other supports banned away, but Lyra's still available, I'm really surprised they didn't go with this. I think the reason here is to nominate is you can't stun out the Finn, right? And that's going to be a big factor is, you know, he'll still be a little bit mobile when Churnwalker goes in for those trespasses. And that could be, you know, a big deal depending how you play. My only fear here is the Blackfeather is probably going to want to be aggressive, and Finn can't follow through with those quick attacks, at least not early on.
Yeah, that is one of the real downsides of Finn, especially when you pair him with assassins like the Blackfeather, the Koshkas, the Takas. Finn isn't really in the middle of the fight if you're chasing or diving onto the backline, and that can restrict what Finn is able to do to help his team. Now, we mentioned it a little bit earlier. When you ban away these heroes that have the additional range, someone like Vox really, really shines, and I do like this pick specifically into the Blackfeather. Vox in the late game can deal with Blackfeather pretty effectively, especially when Blackfeather is, again, going to be forced to run away from the Finn, and the Churnwalker is going to be there to help protect this Vox. Blackfeather can't be repositioned during his Rose offensive. He cannot be stunned during his Rose offensive. But if those charges are burned out, then something as simple as a single Torment could be the difference of life and death for this Vox or Blackfeather.
And we are using a lot of bonus time on this last pick. Actually, it looks like we might have a bug here, so I do apologize. We're going to have to likely restart the draft here, so it shouldn't take too long. The draft begins. There we go. Pause, unpaused. We are back into it, so let's go in, hopefully.
Looks like we still might be paused. I don't see time sticking down. Yeah, it's automatically pausing itself.
So what we'll do here is just restart completely. These issues happen time to time, everybody, so be patient with us, but we'll try to get them sorted out as quickly as possible. The plus side is we get to watch it all over again. So for you and I, Day, helps us think about what we're going to say next a little bit more.
Yeah, it gives us a little bit of time to formulate some story and how this Vox is going to trample over the Blackfeather when he is left to his own defenses because Finn, the River Troll, so slow, cannot keep up to the mobility.
And you know, we always say that when we talk about drafts. Oh, the Finn, the mobility. And mobility is really huge, but it has been impressive when Finn is successful, even with the lack of mobility. And a lot of it comes down to the team synergy. If you're coordinated and Finn positions correctly early on in that fight, it doesn't matter. His play company is giving so much fortified health. His pool is a great way to just, cause you to burn a Crucible, which you otherwise may have been wanting to save for later. And we're going to see Jimmy Fan Club with their final pick. Likely, I would love to see something that has some crowd control, like a Baptiste. Baptiste still available, but Nova on that Samuel. That's a hero pick that we know Lone Delphi is extremely competent with.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Baptiste would be very risky. While Baptiste does pair very well, actually, with Finn, because, again, Baptiste, not the quickest of heroes. He's very susceptible to the damage that this Samuel can put out. The biggest thing you can do against a Baptiste is just to outrange and outpoke his bad mojos. So I do also like this pick, the Alpha. The Alpha and the Finn work very well together as well. The Blackfeather, as long as he's not diving too far, can receive a lot of benefit from the Finn. The Polite Company obviously will give that extra fortified health. as well as Alpha can use that extra sustainability. But I do need an invite here, Dragon.
No, I got you. Don't worry. We're still working through a few things here before we jump into the match. But you're absolutely right. I'm actually really glad they went with the Alpha as well. I think this is kind of the engage. But again, it's a little interesting here, Dave, because now you've created a composition that really is going to be wanting to push the envelope on these fights, push aggressively. So I think one of the things you can do here is you could definitely make sure that Finn gets some mobility up with some boots early to help make sure he can just stay up with his team, because Blackfeather and Alpha are both players that can kind of move into the front line, get behind the support like a Churnwalker to try to get a Vox and Samuel taken down very low. And I'd have to imagine that's how you'd want to play it. I don't really think that playing defensively with an Alpha and a Blackfeather will be nearly as successful. So Jimmy Fans Club's strategy here could be a multitude of different ways. And actually, just so you know, the Alpha and the Blackfeather guys, they are both flex picks. They could be played either way, which I think does allow a little bit of guessing here on the side of Nova of what exactly Jimmy Fan Club's going to do. A little bit. I think we kind of can guess what they're going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to go ahead and throw that out there that we should know where it's going to go. However, I do want to make note to everybody, we don't have Mixi playing today for Jimmy Fan Club. It is going to be Lightning T, Stand Solo, and Grass. And it does look like Lightning T. He's going to be on that Blackfeather, very, very likely going to the lane. I'm going to say because it's a lane Blackfeather, it's almost certainly going to be Weapon Power, which is going to leave Crystal Alpha in the jungle. And I do think this is the smartest way to play it into the box.
Definitely be successful here as we jump into the fold in just a moment, everybody. But, you know, I kind of feel like there's an exposure, a hole here that Jimmy Fan Club can be taken advantage of by Nova, and we'll just have to wait and see. But we're getting into the matchup, everybody, so let's jump right in, Day, as we start off the game here. And looks like we're starting off in very predictable fashion, which you can see Carrie starting in the backside to share that ambient gold and ambient experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to go ahead and just for clarity reasons, winner 1337 is Truth, correct? He was victim to one of the name change issues. So
it's kind of hard to call it victim, but he is in a situation, so that is Truth of Light, and hopefully that gets corrected sometime here. But already early on today, we do have an aggressive push coming out of Nova.
We do, but the damage is getting answered right back as Truth does take over half of his health as well. They are going to get the better half of that trade, and I do want to make note, this Finn, while he's very good at blocking out those Malice and Verdicts, he is very good at blocking out those Malice and Verdicts, and later into the game, that can be a little bit of an issue with Delphi when he picks up the Dragon's Eye and the Broken Myth. It's going to be very easy to build up those stacks against Grass, and we'll have to see if he's able to hold out there. But it's like, do we...
Yeah, we have it.
I might be having an issue.
No, I'm getting it sorted out here on my end, guys, so I do apologize. But it looks like we'll be jumping in here in just a second. As, sorry about that. Is something that we try to get sorted out here. It looks like I've got it fixed, so hang tight, whereas we're going to be jumping into this first matchup. Here we go. All right, it's working now, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the game. You guys were watching a black screen there for a few seconds. We had you fooled, but no, honestly, do apologize for
that. These wild NA productions here, Dragonborn, I'm just messing with you. But Nova, they look like they're going to go ahead and take that Treant. They're going to, with ease, and now Truth, going to go ahead and rotate back. He's got 1,400 gold in his pocket, picks up some boots, as well as a Barb Needle there, looking to go likely into that Poison Shiv first item, and that's going to help reduce some of the barrier and fortified health, as well as that fountain healing that can come out of the side of Jimmy Fan Club.
Samuel already gone back to shop and is working very quickly to his first tier 3 item. You can see a little bit behind Lightning T, but right in line with Standing Solo as far as jungle CS. So keeping it close. Speaking of keeping it close, Churnwalker pushed up in this lane bush to try to keep things close. And nice rotation by Nova here. We'll have to see if Nova does get...
Here comes Stan solo, though. A lot of damage down onto Truth. Lone Delphi kiting around the edge. Truth might even actually make it out. He does on a sliver of health. What a play coming out of them. Stan solo, another prime directive down. Gets some splash damage, but takes quite a bit in return as well. Both Lightning T and Stan solo forced to back on out. We don't have that termination protocol yet coming out of Stan solo, so he was not able to make the full engage that we know an Alpha would be able to do so. And without Lightning T having had a chance to shop, he's a little susceptible to the damage that the enemies Nova are able to put out and has to be quite cautious. He does have that healing flask saved up and ready to go, though, and will be able to heal up off the wave. But again, it needs to go spend some of the 2,600 gold in his pocket.
Yeah, and of course you saw Truth of Light almost going down. A swig of the flask was just what he needed to save him.
Stan solo, almost able to get Truth. Not quite, in fact, takes almost all of his health as well. And with Lightning T and Grass both having recalled because they were dangerously low as well, that's going to force the minion wave up. Stan solo going to be forced to take away some of that CS just to make sure it doesn't get lost. But because the wave was pushed that way, it's going to allow the entire side of Nova to go ahead, recall, shop up. Truth has that Poison Shiv. Delphi, he has the Heavy Prism, the Eclipse Prism. Do you expect we'll see the Dragon's Eye for the first item?
Could be. We saw it played with the last Samuel from last night's game. It's such a powerful first item on Poke Heroes. The sustain it gives you, the increased damage, and the fact that the changes to it have really allowed you to, extend fights even early on and not have to just go all in. And that's something that Samuel plays really well with, so I wouldn't be surprised. Lone Delphi, I love his rotations. Rotating all the way over to the enemy tri-bush each time and then coming up to the lane very quickly. And perfect timing this time to nominate. He's going to help push down this turret to about half health.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the strongest points of a jungler with so much range, is he can make those rotations in the lane. But it's Truth taking quite a bit of damage here. Lone Delphi kiting around very effectively within that Drifting Dart. Got several Malice and a Verdicts off. Stan solo, you might have gone a little bit too far. You are level 6. You have the Termination Protocol. Is it enough to get the kill? Lightning T, he's looking to get in here onto Truth. I don't think he has the damage, though. Rose offensive to try to get him out, but it's going to be Truth going ahead and picking up first blood here. Almost 6 minutes into the game. And now without their Black Feather and with Stan solo and Grass so low on health, without that infinite reboot, I think this might be first turret for the side of Nova as well.
Oh,
maybe a couple extra kills, actually. It looks like Stan solo is overstepped, as well as Grass. Slow River Troll not able to get out of the kill zone there. That's going to be 3-0 for the side of Nova, as well as having that first objective lead. And they've taken a 2,000 gold lead here early on. Lightning T looking for some damage, quickly forced out. Rose offensive off the back of the Torment. Can he find the kill? There's one on the board for the side of Jimmy Fan Club. And now Lone Delphi, he's coming up, and that's going to be a kill. Number 4 going over to the side of Nova.
Yeah, good job by Nova. They gave up a kill. I feel like Truth should have backed out of that lane earlier, but overstayed. But Lone Delphi, good job again, continuing to rotate up from the enemy side. So he's basically owns that enemy tri-bush and can move freely from there, and that's really, really bad. And we're starting to see the disadvantage of Finn's mobility really shine here, because Finn has just been unable to get into the positions he needs to help his team. And then, Lightning T and staying solo can't be nearly as aggressive because you don't have a support that's kind of engaging and absorbing a lot of that damage. Instead, Grass kind of forced to be on the back side of these fights. It's a massive problem, and if it consists, this is going to be a game that Nova can just run away with. Eco, only at level 5 here, so this is not even a deadly Nova yet, but it could be, could be Jimmy Fan Club walking into the bush at the wrong time. And oh yeah.
Looks like Stan solo's getting pretty hurt here. He's going to make it out. Oh, going to drop down into the infinite reboot. Fortunately for the side of Nova, he's a little too far to actually chase down without going underneath the turret. Meanwhile, Lightning T's up here forcing in the lane wave, but Lone Delphi's here to answer. Lightning T's down below half health. He does get a barrier. He is going to, unfortunately, have a fountain come down onto Lone Delphi, bringing him back. Sleep lands. Meanwhile, Truth was able to find a kill onto Grass. They finally get the kill onto Lightning T. Stan solo left alive and alone in his jungle, trying to get some of this CS before Truth comes down and takes it, but here comes Truth. And even with the Crystal Sentry here, I don't know if Stan solo, without that extra lifeline, can actually take this fight.
Oh, he's getting
looking pretty close.
Whoa.
Not quite there.
Yeah.
Not quite there. The Vox He's got the breaking point. He's got that poison shiv. The length of that fight was never really going to look good for standing solo.
And we do have a nice, massive payout. It is massive at 8 minutes. You're about near full on that gold mine. That is a visual bug, everybody. It's not -1. But this is a game that Nova's just absolutely storming here. And look, Winner a little bit too far forward, but Truth able to get defended by the rest of his teammates coming into that fight. Pushes Lightning back behind his turret. This is another lane push coming in out of Nova. And Denominate, when we look at just how well Nova's playing this early game, and then we look at their composition, this is a composition that's going to continue to scale into the later part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely will, but here comes standing solo. Prime Directive is going to land, but has it put him in a bad spot? They're forced to retreat. Truth, however, low on energy as well. Going to go ahead, rotate down, picks up a Treant that's going to help top him off on health and energy. It looks like he may have a Bone Saw coming out. I wouldn't expect a late game tension bow out of Truth, at least. I expect him to just try to be ramping up onto a single target and getting every buff and debuff he possibly can. And against, you know, targets that are typically very tanky and able to survive diving into the backline does seem like a very, very smart choice, as well as that bonus attack speed. It's going to be very helpful. Here comes standing solo. A lot of damage onto Truth. Lightning T is in. Rose offensive onto Delphi. There's the Fountain. That's going to be Truth finding one kill. Quickly going to be able to find another one as well. Termination Protocol is down. Will it be enough? It's not. A beautiful Sonic Zoom coming out of Truth. Going to get him out of danger, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Aftershock just barely helping him get out.
Oh, nice
Eco
job.
doing such a great job blocking out that Prime Directive. Truth is eventually going to fall, but not at no cost. Standing solo drops as well. Lightning T back on the fold, but it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Nova. Now they are up 9-2, up 3,500 gold, as well as very healthy. And with Truth coming back on the board, they might be looking for the next fight. And there's that Bonesaw.
I will say, Jimmy Fan Club, they've done a good job at trying to keep this next turret alive here. They've only given up one turret, and when you've looked at how aggressive Nova's been in this early part of the game, that's pretty impressive. I mean, they need to kind of stall this out in Turtle, and everything they could do to continue that. Giving up deaths, not a really big deal. You are giving up gold. You do need to be careful, but if you're denying objectives and you're denying the ease of Nova to just continue to farm and stack up gold on top of you, then you are being successful, and that's what Jimmy Fan Club have to continue doing here, is slow this game down. Nova, they're looking for another engagement, though, because they're feeling hot.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're looking to force this wave in. That turret is sitting pretty hurt here, under half HP. And with a recall coming out of Lightning T and Lone Delphi here in the lane, they might look to just go ahead and get that offense down. If they can drop that turret, they're going to have no problem pushing into the rest of Jimmy Fan Club. It does look like Nova are going to back off, try to set their fight up a little bit. If that Prime Directive there from Standing Solo would have landed, that would have been a perfect opportunity for us to just see how things go and how far this Alpha and Blackfeather overextend away from Finn, just to try to get damage down, and then they're subject to everything the enemies have to offer without having their own support. And now Lightning T, he is with his team. Here comes a beautiful Prime Directive out of Standing Solo. Can they find the kill? They cannot. It looks like Truth is just racking up these breaking point stacks, sitting at 10 right now with a level 10 infusion as well. They are not scared of this one. Standing Solo is going to go ahead and use the Termination Protocol. It is going to hit Truth. Will it be enough? A Reflex Block might keep him alive just long enough. They're going to find a kill onto Lightning T. And now Lone Delphi drops the Drifting Dark. Standing Solo with no infinite reboot. I think this just might be the end of him. Eco might drop as well to Standing Solo. But I do think Lone Delphi should be able to win out on this trade. Ooh, a beautiful stun coming out of Grass.
Well, they're turning it around.
Drifting Dark, though. Yeah, the splash damage coming out of these Drifting Darks and the Malice Inverted combo, you have to be very cautious of. Lone Delphi, beautiful Oblivion, gonna cancel the recall. They find the kill onto Grass. Can they find Standing Solo? 1, 2, 3. Lone Delphi's gonna take him down. Not quite in time to get the ace, but Lone Delphi, beautiful plays there. Excellent execution. That Oblivion was just perfect.
But you know what, though? They're continuing to stall this game out. Jimmy Fan Club just want to keep this turret alive. I think it's finally going to fall down right now.
Lightning T, you're looking pretty low yourself, but a beautiful root onto Truth may be detrimental to his health. He's going to get it on a sliver of health. They got the turret as well. They're leading 5,000 gold at this point, and Nova, they're looking poised to keep up the pressure. Gold mine, I believe, is full again. But Truth, he's very low on health, has to be incredibly cautious. One good attack coming out of Stand and Solo, one prime directive with an aftershock proc would be all that it takes.
It's been a wild ride here. I think Jimmy Fan Club did the best they could to slow the game down. They clearly lost the early game, and Alpha just needs a few more items to get to that point. I mean, he's got the offensive items now. He could probably take advantage of some cooldown, but now just building up some defensive items could really use a reflex block pretty soon, because you're looking at a decent amount of crowd control coming out between Lone Delphi and that Trespass. There's an Echo built already, so Eco now will be able to double the Trespass, making it extra hard for Jimmy Fan Club to just, you know, outlive these fights. And again, long fights, they really do favor Nova right now. When you've got that Dragon's Eye, when you've got the Bone Saw on Truth of Light, you know, these are all things that Nova can just, you know, outlast, extend here. We got a fight breaking out right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a quick kill onto Delphi, and that's just what Jimmy Fan Club needed. Now it's Truth in the backline. He's racking up these breaking point stacks. I don't know if it's going to be enough to 1v3, especially not with that stun coming out of grass. Might be enough to drop into the infinite reboot. It will. Stand and Solo with that infinite reboot, though, will get back up. Fortunately for Nova, the Kraken is not on the board, but they're very likely going to lose out on this gold miner. They're going to lose out on a first turret. They may even lose some of their jungle as well, as this Alpha and the Aftershock procs are taking this gold mine down fairly quickly. Should be able to get a full gold payout out of this as well, and that's going to help kind of start to neutralize things, especially when you pair it with that first turret.
This is a huge turn for Jimmy Fan Club, because on top of delaying what was a very strong early game show coming out of Nova, they've now turned things around. They've dropped that gold deficit down to just 2,000, or just a little under 2, or a little over 2,000. And they've taken an objective, so only one objective behind. And this is huge, and now they're catching out Nova again. It just looks like they're starting to find some groove here. Going in, there's that Trespass.
Yeah, Trespass is down, but so is Stand and Solo's health, and now Truth, he's onto grass, building up those breaking point and Bonesaw stacks. That's a kill onto the River Troll. Kraken now on the board, and with that, Lightning T as low as he is, and Stand and Solo as low as he is, they're going to have to be really cautious, because Nova, they're very likely going to start up this Kraken, and while you could potentially have a little bit of a contest here coming out of the side of Jimmy Fan Club.
Very risky.
It would be very risky. Their health bars are very low, but here comes Stand and Solo, almost able to get Eco, but that fountain, there it is, popped. A beautiful termination protocol, though. That was such great play coming out of Stand and Solo.
Oh my goodness.
Back there, Lightning T found it. Can they find the kill onto Delphi? Oh, it's so close. I think Lightning T, I think he'll be dropping here with Lone Delphi's Drifting Dark not moving, unless if that's just me.
No, it's moving now. Yeah, it's just you. Standing Solo, very low. Lightning T, extremely low. Lone Delphi, this is the sustain from Samuel that is just so scary. And it really, honestly, forced the entire team. Almost what could have been an ace going in favor of Jimmy Fan Club to nominate. Instead, was Lone Delphi just keeping Nova in this game. And again, with the early start of this game, you would have thought Nova would have just snowballed this away. But we're starting to see a comeback. And you exactly said it. This Crystal Alpha is just so scary when she gets that termination protocol right in the middle of the team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Took down Eco, and, you know, big 900 damage splash onto Delphi. Beautiful execution out of him. They were able to pick up the kill onto Truth as well. They weren't able to find a kill onto Delphi, but they didn't lose their 2 lives either, and that's really a huge benefit for them as well, because they were able to win out on the fight. They were able to prevent Nova from taking the Kraken, and the play was... Stand and Solo literally saved the game for Jimmy Fan Club there, almost single-handedly. Lightning T, again, able to pick up that backline kill onto Truth, but without Stand and Solo, that was the end of the game there for the side of Jimmy Fan Club. Here we go, though. It's another Prime Directive coming in. Stand and Solo, he's taking a lot of damage, but he's dishing it out as well. Lightning T was onto Truth, but those stacks are starting to build up. Stand and Solo, he has the termination protocol, unable to use it, and oh no, Truth, you're in a rough spot, stunned up. Lightning T, can you finish off the kill? Lone Delphi, still very healthy, but does not have a ton of energy. There's a stun. Here comes Lightning T. He's losing his breaking point stacks. The Oblivion is down. That's going to force Lightning T off, and Lone Delphi again as this Samuel holding off everything. Lightning T forced to use the boots to get out safely, but again, Lone Delphi, single survivor for Nova, really been the player of the game for Nova to me. He's been the one that's been able to dish out just absurd amounts of damage into this triple melee lineup, and has really been able to save a couple of the misplays that have been coming out of them.
And that last fight wasn't so much a misplay. It really is Lightning T and Standing Solo becoming really hard to take down. There is so much defense built on these two players that it's just, and you've got the tankiness that's coming out of Finn. They're playing around Finn. What you really need to see happen is you need to see the aggression coming back for Nova. They're allowing the aggression out of Jimmy Fan Club, but they're not pushing the fight away from the Finn. So the Finn, he's able to keep that nice and close, nice and polite, getting that barrier over to his teammates, which is making them very hard to take down right now, Denominate. And, you know, you're talking about that breaking point, you know, Truth of Light is stacking, but it's stacking slow because he's only got fairly low damage output items with a lot of attack speed. So, you know, at first, it takes a little bit of time for him to do the damage to get that. And again, another fight breaking out here. This is going to be huge. Nova needs to win this fight.
Yeah, they do. Good Atlas down, though, is going to slow up Truth's attack speed. Lightning T, he's looking for the kill onto Delphi, knowing he's been the one surviving.
Oh,
beautiful Oblivion coming
huge
out of
Oblivion.
Samuel, though. And now Lightning T and Standing Solo, they're left to be food for Truth, and now they're chasing down Grass. That's going to be an easy kill there for Truth. Yeah, good block there on the stun. Now they're just toying around a little bit. Grass knows there's nothing he can really do, and in fact, all he's really doing is baiting out and lengthening the dispositioned timers on the death. 20 seconds now for Standing Solo, 40 seconds for Grass. Turret destroyed, and Nova, they might be looking to end the game here without the Kraken.
They are going to be cutting it very close. It's 3-man. They've got a lot of damage. Oh, a huge fight for Nova. That Oblivion single-handedly timed perfectly after the Trespass, so they'd already burned the Crucible. Reflex blocks were burned, able to get half the team to sleep. And yeah, this is going to be a game to dominate. Unbelievable comeback. I call it comeback because they were starting to let that slip away from them. They had the early game. Jimmy Fan Club, to their credit, really starting to turn things up here. Just one bad fight. Unfortunately, not enough reflex blocks to deal with the crowd control coming out of Nova.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Fan Club played exceptionally well. Standing Solo actually shined a lot to me, and that's actually quite the opposite of what I expected. You know, the past couple seasons that we've seen Standing Solo play, he has been playing in the captain position. So this is something, while he may be able to practice it in ranked, competitively, he has not really played a carry position for some time. And for him to come out with such magnificent plays today, I'm excited to see what they bring to game number 2. Maybe we'll have some lineup changes. We'll have to see, but both teams played incredibly strong in the end. Nova, the Vox, again, when uncontested in range, has such an easy time dealing with targets.
Yeah, both teams do have very deep rosters, Denominate, as you were mentioning. So substitutions, definitely something that they can look to bring out. Nova, as well as Jimmy Fan Club, can bring in quite a number of different players here if they, you know, looking depending on what kind of look they want. And we might actually be seeing that as the case. I'm going to wait in the chat to make sure. Oh, it looks like, oh wow, is that 2 substitutions I'm seeing, Denominate?
That's what it looks like.
All right. And one thing, if I'm correct in saying, that is going to be, is that a substitution? Lone Delphi being subbed out. And that blows my mind. This guy, Lone Delphi, literally is one of the strongest players on this team. When he plays well, he just absolutely carries the team on his back. And he did that absolutely in this last game.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we're going to have Starboy and FPG stepping in, actually.
All right, so we're going to take care of that real quick here. And then we're going to be getting into draft for game number 2.
Can we verify that roster change for Nova?
Yeah, I'll double check here real quick.
Because when I looked, PG was... Let me reload. Okay, so he is... Okay, he's on the tournament roster. You're just missing him on the on-screen.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
Might not have accidentally got that left off there, so I do apologize. Let me put that in. He is on the tournament. So sorry about that. That is a production problem. That is not the side of Nova doing anything crazy. So I think we're ready to get into this draft here. I'm pretty soon here, Denominate.
Yeah, should be getting ready to get in here. Obviously, we're going to be switching sides. Jimmy Fan Club's going to be on the A side. Nova will be moving over to the B side. Again, these substitutions that we've had, we'll have Truth, FPG, and Starboy, and it looks like the side of Jimmy Fan Club is going to be standing strong with Lightning T, Grass, and standing solo.
Yeah, very strong first game, of course, in this series. Again, mostly in the early game. We saw a little bit of faltering, but it looks like Nova was able to pull it together. So we'll see if that lasts as we get into this next game.
The draft begins.
This draft for game number 2 is going to be starting, and Jimmy Fan Club up on the board for their first ban. And we will twiddle our thumbs here, Denominate. So, you know, it's been kind of interesting watching A-Side ban first because it's been very diverse. We've seen just about everything from Churnwalker being banned, which I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Fan Club do. With the substitution specifically, maybe it wouldn't make as much sense because I'm not sure how much Churnwalker Starboy plays. So this is interesting.
Dragon.
Yeah?
You started the wrong draft.
Oops. I will go back and make sure. Oops, about that. All right, I see that right now. So I think we're ready. I should be in the right draft now.
The draft begins.
You need to get some sleep, sir. The sickness is taking a toll on you.
Are we in the right draft now? I started it.
Let me double check.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Sorry
there we go. So it looks like we've got a Churnwalker band right away. Varia followed up. Now the Ringo's still on the board. And again, Churnwalker, that big playmaking captain, taken off. Just again to refresh everybody, for some of you who may not have been here at the beginning of the stream, Lorelei is globally banned as it is causing a issue with the spectator client itself. So we won't be seeing any Lorelei. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. But Grace first pick here, and that Ringo's still on the board. It's no longer a first pick. You have that next pick as well to kind of keep yourself in a comfort zone. And with the lineup that Nova has, I definitely expect to see a Ringo come out if left available.
No, I do as well. And we were talking about that A-side first ban. Oftentimes, wait, was there a pick?
Yeah, Blackfeather.
Oh, yeah, I see it. A-side pick, so not a Ringo. And again, B-side, second game in a row that Blackfeather's prioritized as the first pick. It is that flex pick, so it could be going into Crystal Path in the jungle. It could be going Weapon Path into the lane. And so that flexibility we see prioritized. Didn't work out for Jimmy Fan Club, but I would argue that the Blackfeather did a lot of damage last matchup. It was really one of the factors that was starting to help bring Jimmy Fan Club back into that game, along with the alpha play was very spectacular.
Definitely was, and the Vox is going to be banned away now as well. And now Arden, so again, 2 carries and 2 captains banned away by the respective teams. And this really starts to pick away at what the enemies have to take. Obviously, we talked a little bit in the first game. The Vox is actually a fairly good counter into the Blackfeather during the late game. If you're able to kite out correctly. And then as well, obviously, Jimmy Fan Club, they've banned away 2 captains, 2 actually very strong playmaking captains that pair very well with the Blackfeather. And now a Taka is going to be picked up here by the side of Nova. So two assassins that are going to be looking to dive that backline and look to pick off that weapon hyper carry that the side of Jimmy Fan Club put together. And, they still have that captain position unlocked. We see the Grace pick. We have the 2 captain bans, so they're very likely going to go with something. Either the Lyra would be very good with the Taka and the Blackfeather. They're able to get in and then restrict the enemy's movement abilities with that Bright Bulwark.
This is really interesting that they picked both the Blackfeather and Taka so early. In fact, actually just the Taka. you rarely see, I should say I rarely see, but in general, you rarely see a Taka pick so early because he has weaknesses that can be exploited, and your Jimmy fan club are looking to do just that, picking up that Rona, which we know is a very powerful sustain hero, and sustain is the game that Taka does not want to play. He is burst, he wants to blow you up and delete you, and if Rona can outlive a fight with Taka, and I love the Baptiste pick as well. This is a great, solid pick for locking down both the Black Feather and the Taka to try to prevent them from getting onto them, doing the damage and getting away, more importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. The Ordain can be very good against the Taka. Even if he Kakus, we do have that bad mojo that can knock the Taka out of his Kaku, as well as even Grace. She has the AoE on her basic attacks and on her Benediction. But not only that, the circumference of a Holy Nova is very similar to the size of that Ordain and could be used for a potential chain stun coming out of those abilities.
The last pick from Nova here, and they're taking a lot of time. And they may exhaust all of their time as far as what they can do to try to prevent. They are going to go with the Lyra, but I'll be honest, to nominate, I really feel Jimmy Fan Club have a better draft. And a lot of this is because you picked that Taka second, which really, I think, gave away your entire hand.
It definitely did. The Rona and Grace combination specifically. The Baptiste, while he can provide a lot of splash damage onto these melee targets, and he can lock them down with Ordain and Fearsome Shade, I don't really feel he's the biggest threat here. I feel the Blackfeather and Taka specifically are going to have a difficult time trying to kill this Rona unless if they get a snowball started very, very early on, which they're going to need to use this Lyra to the maximum potential to do so.
Absolutely. We'll be getting into this game momentarily as we look to get everybody back into the queue, I mean. But I really feel you did yourself just an overall disservice to pick that Taka so early, and you've also given over, I think, a composition with that Rona Baptiste. It, in general, is a very strong combination. Grace is going to give you sustain, Rona loves sustain, and then you've got a great crowd control jungler and Baptiste, which really is going to be difficult for the side of Nova to deal with. And I could be wrong, and they could absolutely blow me away and impress me with their pure raw mechanical skills, but definitely on paper, the way they execute the draft is questionable.
Definitely. We'll have to see as we get into the game, though. I'm actually interested to see who ends up playing what for the side of Nova. Obviously, with Starboy and FPG stepping in and Eco and Delphi stepping out. Starboy, we've obviously known as a captain for the VG8 team for quite some time. But FPG, he's very comfortable in all roles as well. I think him and Starboy are both very, very flexible players.
They are,
and I guess it's going to be determining who they think is going to be the better jungler and who they think is going to be the better captain.
And the fact that they could be flexible is difficult to draft in because you're not sure who you're drafting against as far as position-wise. Because they both can interchange between carry and support, and Starboy can even play as lane. So,
it looks like we actually might have a little bit better of an answer here. So it's going to be not Truth. It's going to be FPG, Starboy, and Eco, and I think this solidifies it a little bit. It's probably going to be FPG in the lane, Starboy in the jungle, and Eco in the captain. Would be my assumption.
Let's wait a second. Hold up. And we're going to have to sort something out here before we get into this game. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be able to get right into this first matchup.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All right, everybody. Sorry for that delay, but we are back and we are ready. Excited for an awesome matchup here. It is game number 2 between Jimmy Fan Club and Nova. And Nova, they are up 1 game in the best of 3 series. Denamine. You know, we're talking about an interesting turn of events. It is going to be a full substitution, so we just had to make sure we got that sorted out here. But again, 6 members are on the roster for Nova, which is allowed in VISPRO, and they made the decision right before draft to switch them all out. Just had to get that all sorted, make sure they were ready. But this is really interesting, Denamine, because if you're Jimmy Fan Club, you probably feel pretty good about this.
I definitely think you have to feel good about not playing the Nova starting lineup. And just to clarify, you know, obviously the change was agreed to by the side of Jimmy Fan Club. They didn't have any concerns with it. Everything all fair in love and war. But you know, we do have FPG again in the lane here on this Blackfeather. Starboy going to be picking up the Taka in the jungle, very likely going down the Crystal Path. Even with the 2 weapon blades picked up here. Eco, Lyra, very, very strong game-changing captain up against the Grace, so we do have 2 healers on the board. And when it comes down to the sustain game, both the Blackfeather and the Rona, very sustaining heroes, but we have to give the edge to the Rona and that double Divine Intervention that'll come out of standing solo.
Yeah, and you know, early on, you have to imagine that you're going to want to see the Grace and the Baptiste to try to be putting a lot of pressure on the Blackfeather. You're seeing Grace go in really aggressively now. This is a huge difference from what last game. You know, I know they didn't have the Grace available to pick, but you know, there were other supports to pick, and the idea of being able to go in and start the fight as a support is so valuable. Fight down here by the Treant, Denamine, Grass trying to steal it away, unsuccessful.
Yeah, tried, and I'm actually pretty interested to see the change here with Grass going into the jungle position and standing solo. Going to be picking up the captain role here on this Grace, and now Grass, I think you might have bitten off a little bit more than you can chew here, buddy.
Oh, going down. First kill, first blood, Nova. And I hate to call them the B Squad, Denamine, because these are all fantastic players. Obviously, Starboy was the starting support, but FPG and Eco have been on the team here for quite some time, and yet, you know what, they're just coming in here and impressing.
Yeah, absolutely, and we see, obviously this Rona going to take a little bit of time to scale up and really be that kind of tanky, hyper carry hero that we know her to be, but we'll get there in due time. Stand solo rotating up, Lightning T here, he's on to stand solo. Or, with standing solo, gets a little bit of damage down onto FPG. And now it actually looks like they're going to rotate over and try to get some of Starboy's farm. And I think standing solo got that one. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the second one. He's going to get the second one, too. The disrespect coming out of standing solo there. That's an Imperial Sigil, though. Going to help this Taka get into range. There goes Starboy. Chitin over standing solo. And with the speed boost Taka gets, I think this should be a potential kill. FPG not quite rotating over in time. There. Got a little bit cut off.
Yeah.
And that flask is going to go ahead and save standing solo.
Yeah, I mean, well timed. He had to use his boots. He had to use his flask. Those are pretty long cooldowns. So he is going to be in a world of hurt. Might actually even think about just playing it safe now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Grace, once upon a time, she was pretty blessed with her movement speed. She's had some changes. A little bit slower with all that heavy armor she's got wearing, so definitely have to be careful at this point. That Benediction can be used effectively to create or close distance. But Lightning T, it looks like he's got that Serpent's Mask complete now. There it is as he rotates down to the shop. And Grass going to be up here in the lane. This Baptiste, again, I don't think the Baptiste is really going to be much about the damage in this game. I think It's more of just a help protect Lightning T and let Lightning T be the hyper carry that the team needs, using that crowd control to their advantage. The slow on the bad mojos, the Ordained, the Fearsome Shade, anything at all to help keep this Taka from just having free reign over the fights.
A close call there for FPG. Had to use his flask as he was getting on, but there is Taka going in. Heal, oh my goodness, blowed up. And as fast as I could call it, that was Starboy going down.
Yeah, Taka went in a little bit too far, quite squishy at this point in the game. He hasn't been able to build up any health or any defense to help himself survive. So that's something that Starboy is going to have to, make note of for himself. While he is very bursty, the main priority target he's got needs to be Grasscoon, trying to take down this Batiste early on in the fight. And, right now, he's very susceptible to the amount of burst damage that can come out of those bad mojos when the Reap heroic perk is procced effectively and used to get that bonus damage. So Starboy, a lot of damage, but is also going to take just as much in return, thanks to the wonderful draft actually put together by Jimmy Fanclub.
Yeah, really good job here.
Here comes the Taka right now. They might have found some opportunity, though. Starboy, again, puts out a lot of damage, takes a lot of damage in return. FPG, he's pretty low on health now, too. Lightning T was able to make it out. A beautiful Chitin there, was able to get some good damage down onto Grass, forced to use the flask of his own. Again, not going for the damage, has gone Clockwork first, just looking for that utility, looking for that additional crowd control that he can provide his team. But now, because of the rotation that the side of Jimmy Fanclub have made, it's allowed Nova to force this wave up. Not going to be able to get any damage on the turret, though. FPG, Rose offensive, getting out of that Ordained. Go ahead and return to their side now. Things kind of even out here, but it is Jimmy Fanclub taking a little bit of a gold lead.
It's kind of interesting because we talked about the crowd control in the draft that's really going to favor early on, especially right out the gate. You've got that Holy Nova as well as that Ordained, but it's just the impressiveness of both Taka and Starboy not even having to use reflex blocks to get out of those crowd controls. Rose offensive, kiting over the barrier to get onto the hero, the invincibility he has there, avoidant blocks. These are things that, take a lot of skill, and Nova have been able to do. So with no reflex blocks, they could potentially avoid a lot of that early crowd control. Not to mention that you do also have a portal for getting in and out of sticky situations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an Ordained drop down onto FPG there. And Lightning T going to be able to heal up off of the lane wave here a little bit, but some good poke out of FPG is helping him manage his enemy's health. That turret's taking quite a bit, though. FPG, he's locked up by the Fearsome Shade and the Ordained. He's going to get some damage down. He's going to make it out alive, but that first turret is going to go down for Jimmy Fanclub. And a Divine Intervention going to help top off Lightning T, who might be looking for more. FPG, you've got to be careful here. There's an Ordained. Beautiful play set up by the side of Jimmy Fanclub. That's going to be a second kill. They maintain their gold lead. Starboy comes on over the wall, but not really in time to do much about it, as landing on the Grace, not the most ideal target. And now Jimmy Fanclub starting up the gold mine, and not a whole lot Taka can do. His one benefit is there's only one scout trap right now for the side of Jimmy Fanclub. He's going to be able to rotate to the backs, take away some farm, but at the cost of losing out on that gold payout, which, despite the visual bug, was a full gold payout, so about 400 going over to the side of each member of Jimmy Fanclub.
Yeah, there's no way he could have contested. After that fight, Jimmy Fanclub still had a fountain, and two of their members, both Grass and Lightning T, had their flask as well. So an insane amount of sustain that was still in the tank for the side of Jimmy Fanclub, and, rightly so, Nova just trying to avoid it. Starboy trying to just get out of this very sticky situation. There's a flare, and it looks like he might get out, but this could be Starboy going down. And it is.
Yeah, definitely. Starboy is going to drop. It's a third kill on the board for Jimmy Fanclub. A little bit opposite of what we saw last game. It was the side of Nova taking the edge early on and really carrying away with it throughout most of the game, right up until about the 14-minute mark. This time, with this Rona pick that we just know to be so strong, so much sustain, as well as the ability to build up that breaking point that Lightning T already has complete, that's going to be a really difficult thing to deal with for the side of Nova. Black Feather, for quite a while was a very strong pick, but the Rona was that one ultimate counter to the Blackfeather, just able to sustain and deal out just as much damage as the Blackfeather, as well as, even better than the Blackfeather in most cases. In the Taka, very bursty, not quite as good against these very tanky targets. So it's kind of the downfall, is this composition that Nova's put together. While on paper it looks good, against the Rona in her almighty form right now is just too difficult to deal with.
Yeah, we saw this in game number 1 as well. Blackfeather not performing well. It was on the opposite side. They have a fight breaking out here a lot, but it's a 2v3. Scratch that. Here comes the Baptiste, but it's too late.
Yeah, they were able to take down the Rona that time. In fact, they're able to find the Baptiste as well, but not at no cost, as they lose out on FPG. They may even lose out on Starboy. Kaku is going to help him survive. There's the Imperial Sigil, but oh man, that X-Retsu takes Starboy right as Stand and Solo is escaping. He might be able to come over and finish off the kill. There's a flask from Stand and Solo. He is looking to make it out alive and waste a bit of Starboy's time, actually. There's another X-Retsu, but a stun underneath the turret, going to take a shot. And just like that, Starboy's able to Kaiten out of the damage zone of that turret and pick up the kill. I'm not really sure why Standing Solo decided to go back in that way.
Yeah, picked up the kill right when Standing Solo was starting to proc his Divine Intervention, trying to get that heal, and unfortunately did not get the heal, but wasted that cooldown. It's not very long, but it's one to keep an eye on. And good job, Starboy. He was playing very aggressive. He knew he could probably get it. Good job by Eco to come in there, recognize the aggression from his teammate, and follow up with him, giving him that sigil. Definitely saved his life as Rona was coming in right behind Standing Solo. But getting a kill, it's important. But all 3 members are back up on the board. What's interesting is, on paper we talked about how good the draft is from Jimmy Fan Club. And they've really definitely taken advantage of early objectives here, early kills, but it's otherwise a fairly close game as we approach the 12-minute mark. There's not a huge lead, and it's definitely not insurmountable. You have to imagine Nova, one good fight, will even up these objectives.
Yeah, it definitely could, and if they're able to find a kill onto Lightning T early on in the fight again, which it's going to be a little bit more difficult now that he's starting to stack up some of that defense, as well as has a little bit bonus health from finishing those tier 2 boots as well. While it's only 125, we see several times where 5-10 health can be the difference in someone's life. Eco, he's dropped quite low here. Here comes Starboy, looking to get some damage, but the Divine Intervention is down onto Rona. That Red Mist is out, and now Starboy has burned out all of his tricks. Is he going to make it out of here? There's a Kaiten and a Kaku going to go ahead and help him get out. FPG, I don't know if he's going to have the same fate. There it is, another kill going over to Lightning T. And ordained onto Starboy. That Kaku is ready to go. It's not quite going to get him out, though. Starboy is going to drop as well, and just like that, Jimmy Fan Club, they found themselves 2 kills onto the carries. They're going to find themselves a turret as well, and it looks like Grass is going to go ahead and rotate down. He's going to find a whole jungle out of the side of Nova for him to reap some of that gold, get some health topped off from these treants, as well as the whole team going to regroup, hit that shop. Lightning T, 2,000 gold to spend. Grasscoon sitting just about 1,500 by the time he makes it to the shop. And they're still maintaining fairly decent control of this game.
Yeah, and that was the fight that Nova really didn't want to give up, because that was a huge turret, and now it looks like they're going to be going for this gold miner. It might be contested. Big turn for Jimmy Fan Club in this series here as they're dominating this match and looking to go in as they contest this gold miner.
Yeah, they're definitely going to go for it. Grass, he's dropped quite low. Starboy's on the far end of this fight as well, taking a lot of damage. That Kaku is going to get him out safely. Lightning T, he's looking for the kill onto Eco. One more hit, he'll have it. With the captain and healing down, there might be an opportunity here for Rona to go ahead and finish off this fight, despite Standing Solo about to drop. Goldmine is here. Lightning T can use that red mist to damage all enemies in that goldmine. There it is right there. Will they get the finish? Taka's going to go ahead and find it, and because Lightning T dropped that red mist, that's going to be an ace for the side of Nova. And as you mentioned, if they're able to find a fight, they'd be able to turn this around pretty quickly. And with the Ace Wave, they're going to take down a turret for themselves as well. And they are going to start to even out that gold lead that was in favor so heavily of Jimmy Fanclub.
Grass.
In fact, oh no, Grass has been caught out a little bit too far. That's another kill going over to the side of Nova, 8-7. Gold lead still in favor of the side of Jimmy Fanclub.
I mean, I gotta be honest, I was definitely noting the Nova had to win a fight, but that was so risky for Jimmy Fanclub. They forced a fight, 2-man, against the Taka and the Black Feather, the slipperiest heroes in the game. Easily could get in and try to steal a gold mine. There was no need for them to try to take that gold mine. They really should have baited, started the gold mine, go for the fight. And it looked like they were doing it, but they never stopped taking aggro from the gold miner through that whole fight, just compounding the amount of damage they continue to take. Rona, so much sustain, couldn't out-sustain, basically a 4v3, which ended up being a 1v3 at the end of it. Almost did it, but a little too late. And now looking to catch out Eco. He might have to burn his Arcane Passage. He does. Oh, but not without Jimmy Fanclub following up. And Denominate, again, Nova, they, looking for another win, but with Kraken now on the board, the stakes have risen.
Yeah, but Taka is actually pretty good at stealing away a Kraken. The X-Retsu does so much damage, as well as that damage over time to follow up. But Eco dropped early on in the fight. That's not good for the side of Nova. This Kraken sitting around half health, but FPG comes through strong with a kill onto Grass. Do they have what it takes to take down Lightning T, though? He's dropped very low. Nova playing it smart. Every time that red mist gets dropped, they both just split up. And now they might be able to find a kill on the stand and solo. Another Kaiten coming out of Starboy. There's the X-Retsu. Just like that, Nova turned things around with some good positioning coming out of the two carries.
And so much focus on Eco by Jimmy Fanclub, you would think would pay off. You're taking away a very powerful healer and support for this team, but the amount of damage that's being stacked up here, that breaking point, you've got to be careful. Black Feathers gets about 10 stacks, and his damage output now is so scary. Rona really can't survive it. You're going to see Lightning T thinking about it, but nice job by Nova. They're going to turn it onto Lightning T.
Yeah, they're going to, but can they find it? There's a Kraken take. That's going to go ahead and be one going over to the side of Jimmy Fanclub. Lightning T's even going to make it out alive, it appears. Grass going to go ahead. Bad Mojo forces Starboy out. Now, while they aren't going to have the strongest push with this Kraken, it's still not Nova, who were all very healthy pushing down the lane at this point.
Yeah, they got to be careful.
T, here he comes, though. Divine Intervention is out. That red mist and the bonus barrier in that fortified health that it gives. That's a kill onto Eco very, very quickly, but Lightning T, because he was so low on this engage, is going to have a rough time. Fountain is used. Starboy taking a lot of damage, but almost able to kill. Actually gets the kill onto Grass. That's going to be 2 for the side of Jimmy Fanclub, only 1 for the side of Nova. And now FPG's alone trying to deal with this Kraken with Stan and Solo and Lightning T ready to come up here and help it close out this choke point turret.
Oh yeah, he's got to be careful. Nice block. And he is going to get to the safety of his Sanctuary. It looks like Denominate, Jimmy Fanclub are going to get this turret. But with that explosion damage, AoE on the Kraken, I don't think Kraken's going to get much more.
No, definitely not. In fact, Lightning T might have overstayed a little bit here. They have pulled off of the Kraken. It is wailing away on that turret. Lightning T, can you find the kill? There's a block from both FPG and Lightning T. FPG and Eco now turning their attention on the stand and solo. Should easily be able to pick up this kill. Kraken just now gone down, but not before taking out almost that entire turret. Dragonborn, one more hit would have done it, but side of Nova, they pick up 2 kills. And they're sitting with only 1 and a crippled turret to defend their Vein Crystal against the 3 that stand for the side of Jimmy Fanclub.
Yeah, and Kraken was so low, we actually thought probably it would go down very quickly, but those turrets don't do nearly as much damage on Kraken as you would think. And, Nova ignoring that, going for the fight. I'm not going to say it was a bad idea. They still have 2 turrets, and as long as they don't get another strong push likely ends the game for Jimmy Fanclub anyways. But we've got another fight breaking out here, Denominate, with FPG starting off very low.
Yeah, a little bit of a tussle, but not much to come of it. Nova, they're going to go ahead and take this opportunity to hit the shop. Starboy needs to get the gold to get a infusion online before this next fight. Both Grass and Lightning T are infused, ready to go. FPG, he's got the gold to reinfuse, as well as sitting on a little bit under half of his remaining infusion. Gonna have to give this gold over to Starboy. Again, needs to get that infusion online. He'll have it, but he's got to get the opportunity to shop now. Kraken, he's got about a minute and a half left before she is back on the board, I think, if my calculations are correct. But we'll have to see how this next fight goes, because we might not need another Kraken if Jimmy Fan Club win the fight. Got one breaking out right now, though. They found some good damage onto Eco. Eco getting dropped incredibly quickly in this fight. Lightning T not hesitating to look for that damage, helping build up that breaking point at 20 stacks to FPG's 10. That's a beautiful opportunity for Lightning T to find some good damage. He's on to Eco. There's the kill. Can they find Starboy? Akaku? It's going to make it a little bit difficult. In fact, they are not going to find Vitaka. Might find a couple hits, but shouldn't find the kill. Starboy is going to go ahead and use that Chitin to get out. There's another Kaku going to help get him out of danger. I think Lightning T should have what it takes to push down this turret, though. Again, very, very crippled. If they're able to get this wave up to that turret, it's going to drop incredibly easily, incredibly quickly, as well as with the Into the Fray and the Benediction, they could easily get out of harm's way.
Yeah, Lightning T, I don't think he wants to risk it. Starboy being a little cheeky here. He does have a lot of burst damage, so again, you know, misplay, not maybe having your red mist up could be problematic. Instead, Lightning T and Standing Solo, they're just really good disengaged. They don't even take away any farm, so that is going to be important. But that fight going in favor of Jimmy Fan Club, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of that was they finally stopped paying attention to Eco. You saw so much priority trying to take Eco down instead of focusing down the Blackfeather, who really is the main threat. He builds up enough stacks quick enough, and that he's going to be able to just destroy and delete the enemy team. And a lot of the focus early on in Eco, I think, was misguided. They changed their attention. They took down the Blackfeather, and you can see without the Blackfeather, it is a much weaker team. Nova needs to be a little bit careful in their positioning. They can't give up the Blackfeather death so quickly in these fights.
Yeah, they definitely can't. It's already hard enough to compete with what the Rona is able to do. Now with all players in this game infused, ready to go, this next fight should definitely spell out who's going to win this game. Whoever wins can either take the Kraken or just force down the base. 12 to 14. Here comes Lightning T, but he's split up quite a distance from Grass. This could be pretty risky. Lightning T sitting on 5 stacks, FPG on 2. Fight is heavily breaking out. Again, Lightning T focusing on Eco with every opportunity he gets. Divine Intervention going to help keep him alive. I don't even know if they're going to get the kill onto Eco this time. Grass is getting bombarded by damage coming out of Starboy. The kill onto Eco is there. Starboy now looking for some damage onto this Rona, and it looks like they might be able to pick up the kill here. There's going to be one stunned underneath the Crystal Sentry. FPG has to be careful. Standing Solo hugging onto that Sentry as much as possible. Has another Divine Intervention ready to go here in a couple seconds, but is going to go ahead and recall, and this should give another turret opportunity over to Nova. With only the Captain alive, they shouldn't have really any opportunity that they aren't able to take this. There's the turret. 10 seconds left on Grass, 20 on Lightning T. They can take the opportunity now to head down to the shop, top off their infusions, as well as Starboy needs to be looking to finish out a couple more items here, Dragon. And what do you expect to see? I mean, what would you expect to see? The War Treads completed for Taka, getting that a little additional tankiness, as well as team-wide speed buff, or do we think it's going to be the Halcyon Chargers for the cooldown and energy regenerating?
You're talking about Taka?
Yeah, he went ahead and finished off the Halcyon.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, oh, as you were saying it, he kind of made that decision.
Yeah, when I started, it wasn't quite there, and at that point, I quit looking away from it, so... But you know, anyway, it's Halcyon Chargers.
Yeah, and we were pretty much near final build for both these teams. So at this point, execution is the name of the game. We're continuing to see the whole focus coming out of Lightning T is to take down Eco, and I understand why he would want to, but every single time he only focuses Eco and tries to take out Eco. If he doesn't pay attention to the Blackfeather seems to run away with the game here. You're seeing real quickly, there was no block there, but this is a huge fight, and one that you're seeing, oh my goodness, it is going to be the Baptiste going down so early.
Yeah, Grass got annihilated there by the side of Nova, but now Lightning T, he's looking to maintain these stacks. He's got 20. He's a massive threat if he can stay on target. FPG and Starboy just looking to get in and out of this fight. They've done it
so
so
well
well. They take down Lightning T, and that's going to be them chasing down Stan and Solo at this point. If they get the ace, there's only 2 turrets between them and a victory, and 30, 40, and 50-second death timers remaining here on the side of Jimmy Fan Club.
A little risky. I don't know if they've got the time. They've got a few waves to push through. You're going to have the Baptiste up, and they're going to try to go for it. I know that even taking the Kraken might have been a little bit of a risk, as you don't want to give over that gold. So 9 seconds. That's the name of the game. We'll see if they can do it. They do split the turrets here, Denominate. Oh, this is going to be close.
Yeah, that ace wave is easily more than enough. Even with Grass up, he's not going to be able to contest the whole enemy team of Nova by himself. I mean, look at the Vein Crystal. No defense for the Vein Crystal. Takes all of that damage. Not even close coming out of Jimmy Fan Club there. That was beautiful execution by Nova. They had the damage. They knew that ace wave was going to force down the enemy minions very quickly. They took that opportunity. They ran away with it, and they picked themselves up a 2-0 victory over Jimmy Fan Club.
Yeah, and, you know, not clean at all. Much, I guess, reminiscent of Game 1, where both these teams going back and forth at different phases of the game. This game going pretty long, actually, at 25 minutes. And one that, you know, I would say for the better half of that game, Denominate, I really thought Nova was going to lose it. Instead, they came back. And that all was about how they played the team fights. I feel also the fact that we didn't see the same focus on maybe trying to take out Blackfeather and the Taka. And, you know, obviously, Lyra's it's an easier target to get on top of and kill of, right? Because she doesn't have quite the mobility that the Blackfeather and Taka have, but it just felt so, unfortunately, so misguided, because even with Lyra gone, Blackfeather and Taka were able to be a serious threat.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, in the end, the Blackfeather Taka, they played it just so perfectly. Eco was getting jumped on very early on in the fights. For a long portion of that game, he had the lowest armor, and it made it very easy for Lightning T to build up the breaking point. But when it came down to FPG and Starboy, once Eco was down or forced out of the fight or whatever it may have been, they did such a great job of splitting up from Rona every single time she used that red mist, taking away that benefit of fortified health. You know, the fortified health is nice, but it's best when paired with the fact that you're building up the breaking point stacks, with the fact that you're healing from the Serpent's Mask. And when you have the enemies splitting away, your reduced movement speed makes it too difficult to commit to a target. They wait for that fortified health to drop, they would jump right back in, and Nova just played it so well.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be getting into our next matchup here in a quick second. Our second series of the night, as we've just closed our first one, and we now know Nova are going to be the next team going to the semifinals. Who is going to be next? We're going to find out after this break, as it's going to be Vision Gaming going up against Team Ferox after this.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that little extra delay there as we look to get everything ready for our next series. And this one's going to be an exciting one. Denominate. I got to be honest, Vision Gaming, they have been the team that have just absolutely impressed me. #1 in challengers last season, made it into challenge battles pretty easily, to be honest. And now looking for a shot here at their VISPRO career and going up against a team that is exciting to watch, but I've got to be honest, might have a little bit of a hard time going up against Vision. Because, it's, this is...
Yeah. Definitely a team that came through strong at the end of last season, so I'm excited to see what Vision bring together here. Obviously, PvP Warrior, a really upcoming player here in the competitive scene. It's definitely going to be interesting to see just how far they've come. We don't know as much about Team Ferox, so I want to give the edge inherently just because of how impressive Vision have been to the side of Vision, but you can't underestimate a team that's made it this far. God of Sins, he's played for a couple of the top teams and really has a lot of knowledge under his belt. I think the most recent team he played for, I want to say, is Tempo Storm.
Yeah, he was on the Tempo Storm roster as a sub, previously on a Phoenix Reborn roster. I mean, he's been playing a lot, and he did not start at the beginning of this tournament, but he is going to be coming in here now, and I'm excited to see him play and meshing up here, Jaeshong and Chamu. I mean, this is a team that's been very excited, and they feel like they can play up against the best, but Vision is one of the best, and so they're going to have to prove that here tonight.
Yeah, and we won't have Kaz playing, it seems. It will be Tivo is going to be the one playing for the side of Vision. And we've seen him sub in a couple times. He brings some interesting things to the table. But I'm not sure the synergy will be entirely there, as I have to imagine they probably play with Kaz the most. Typically, they're starting jungler, but that is a nice thing that we have with Kaz and PvP Warrior, is they are very flexible on what their comfort picks are, and we see them switch very frequently between the lane and the jungle.
And that's something that when you can do, that's what made him so versatile in challengers last season. It was something that threw a few teams off their game as far as what they would be expecting. And so, anything can come out. I'm excited. We love the drafts coming out of Vision. They're always fun to watch. So, speaking of drafts, we're actually ready to get into it. So let's get into game #1, as Vision Gaming will be looking to make it to the semifinals. And I believe it might be their first shot at the semifinals in VISPRO history. I actually have to go back and confirm that. But again, their seeding will definitely dictate them having a chance to potentially go all the way. And Churnwalker is going to be that A-side ban. Might be one of the most popular A-side bans in the tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely one of them. Obviously up there with the Varia bans and the Ringo bans. And as we mentioned it, there's the Varia taken off the table there very quickly. Again, this is going to be the side of Vision Gaming on A-side and Team Ferox on B-side. And this leaves a couple power picks available. We obviously have the Grace available. And, again, for anybody that hasn't caught earlier parts of this stream, Lorelei is permabanned or globally banned from this tournament due to an issue with the client. And it's going to be a Lyra first pick. So, again, a very good playmaking captain here picked up early. But this does leave the Ringo and that Blackfeather on the board still.
No, a lot of picks here, and while I do expect like an Arden or a support pick to come out from Ferox, as a lot of teams have decided to go that, the last series was interesting in the sense we saw Blackfeather both games. And, power picks, they're risky, but if you're very confident with them, if you feel like that's your best chance to win, you want to take it before it gets banned in the second round of bans.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be the Vox. So I expect to see the Ringo banned away at this point, specifically because, again, the range advantage and just the out-dueling potential that the Ringo brings over the Vox. If they let the Ringo through, I'd actually be very surprised.
It would be. They might instead want to ban out the Blackfeather. It really depends on how you feel about Vision playing Ringo. And historically, Vision has always had a strong Ringo game. that's something that, you know, they obviously feel comfortable getting if it can happen.
Yeah, I think Vox, because of his range, handles better into the Blackfeather. He has the mobility, he has the slow, but gonna be a Blackfeather ban away, and I personally don't like this, but we'll have to see if it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Blackfeather, again, it's just about what do you feel more comfortable playing into. And, you know, Ringo actually has, I mean, he has a decent win rate here in VISPRO. I don't know if you were here. Yeah, you weren't here yesterday, but after yesterday's matches, Varia actually only has a 33% win rate, if you can believe that. So it just depends on how you execute the rest of the draft when you let a Ringo through. I mean, you could actually say, all right, what if we wanted to play Crystal Ringo in the jungle? I don't expect that to be the case. But whatever it is, they just feel like they're okay letting the Ringo go through. And maybe it's because they'd rather go up against a Ringo than maybe a Rona, for instance. So these are things that you're trying to maybe force the enemy team into a different path when you go through this draft. And now with the second pick coming up on the board, I do like Ferox going with that support pick in this case.
Yeah, Arden, very good at helping specifically the Vox, you know, that extra barrier that he can give. Gives him some more time to heal up with the Poison Shiv that we usually see on the Vox, as well as gives him that little additional speed boost as well that can help get him out of danger. The Taka ban coming out of the side of Vision Gaming, this allows them to go with one of those really heavy assaulting backline heroes. There's the Ringo right there, and I think this has a distinct advantage over the Vox. Other options could have been, you know, we see Celeste obviously very susceptible to things like the Taka, but Ringo just so strong in the meta right now that this is an incredibly smart pick, and you're using an advantage early on. It's going to make it difficult, especially paired up with the Lyra, giving the Ringo the sustain in the lane to keep the Vox on his heels.
Yeah, and I am surprised by the Blackfeather ban early on because I think there's a lot of evidence suggesting Vision would love to have Ringo in this game. And, you know, again, you know, you could even have made a case to ban Blackfeather and then Ringo and not even worry about Varia. Again, Varia hasn't really been effective, but we're talking about pretty sizable difference potentially in the skill tier of these teams. A Vainglory A team versus a new and up-and-coming challenger. And so while there may not be an actual skill gap between these teams, just the perception, the mind game that can be played can sometimes play into it. And wow, Vision. This is a composition that really goes back for me, Day, as you are going to see Lyra paired up with Ringo and Koshka.
Yeah, and typically, you know, the Ringo and Koshka were very renowned at one point for their early game pressure, especially when paired with Fortress at the time, was that just superstar early game aggressive captain. They're going to go with the Baptiste to try to counter out the Koshka. This can be very susceptible to the damage from Ringo, and if the Koshka and Lyra specifically play this correctly, the Baptiste actually can lose pretty early against this Koshka.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see the Koshka. I mean, we typically say that Baptiste has the kit to deal with Koshka, but in reality, when you watch it play out, Koshka normally always beats him in the early game, and enough so that they can snowball, and when you've got a Ringo on your team as well, that is the recipe for success, and this is one that we could be seeing Vision easily push ahead.
Yeah, we definitely could. This early game is going to need to be packed, however, with a lot of aggression. Again, the Ringo's best case here is that he's helping shut out this Vox early, making it very difficult for the Vox to farm up. It's going to be with the help of Lyra in the lane, the sustain that she gives the Ringo, as well as aggressive rotations once Koshka hits level 2, which, thanks to the current meta rotations that we see, should be pretty much almost instantly. Ringo and Koshka very likely going to clear out the backs together, should be level 2, have both of her abilities, and can come up and make those very aggressive gank attempts in the lane. Even if you don't get the kill, if you can force Vox to recall, thanks to the clear speed of Ringo, you can force Vox to miss out on a lot of CS in the lane. All right, and as we get here into the game, again, we'll likely see PvP Warrior and Tivo split the Ambient Golden experience in the back. We'll probably see God of Sins and Jayschwan do the same in their jungle. Captains will likely just kind of poke their heads out, get some vision here in the middle of the map, try to see which team is making the quicker rotation. And with Lyra's healing potential here in the early game, I'd expect to see the side of Vision Gaming take an early fight if they get that chance.
Yeah, it definitely could be that early game aggression we typically see. I really want to see. Koshka doesn't fall off hard after the mid game, but does start to fall off as you get later and later into the late game. Reflex blocks become more common. Her ultimate, Yummy Cabinet Frenzy, just becomes much harder to land effectively. Kind of actually makes you more of a sitting duck. We have that early aggression coming out right out of the gate.
Yeah, we do an Ordained down, gonna hold the Koshka back a little bit, but not without some loss there, as PvP Warrior trades out a bunch of damage onto both the Ardent and the Vox. Again, Jayshuan now sitting underneath half health, and that's gonna give Vision the opportunity to go ahead and uncontested take that Treant. PvP Warrior going to return to the lane, and despite the recall from Vox, he shouldn't lose out on too much here in the lane. Ringo, with only a single weapon blade for his offense, not going to be able to clear out this wave too quickly. He's going to miss out on a couple minions. He's going to offset that with the experience and the gold coming out of the ambient in the jungle. And obviously Chamu here, he's going to go ahead and come up into the lane, try to make sure when this wave does get pushed through, it doesn't make it to the turret. And here comes Jayshuan.
Yeah, that Baptiste is going to rotate up along with Jayshuan, so they're going to share a little bit extra there. Koshka, on the other hand, is actually dual jungling with Lyra. And it's not too often you see the support jungling with the jungler. Koshka doesn't really need it. I think a lot of this is just because of how aggressive Koshka's going to want to be. It's just easier for Shade Talon to already be rotated down in position as they move into the enemy tri-bush like they are right now. And that's a kind of a strategy I expect. And also, it allows them to push that tri-bush. You're seeing right now, they're going to be able to get the Elder Treant with no contest. And a lot of that comes from Lyra being down there with Koshka as they rotate around to the enemy side of the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's smart pickup here from PvP Warrior. Has gone with the light shield early on, knowing that the Vox's damage on him in the early portion of the game is going to be those resonance bounces, and despite it being a weapon Vox, when you're up against a Vox in the lane, those resonance bounces over time can be very effective at chunking out the health of an enemy target. So, very smart purchase coming out of PvP Warrior. They are even across the board on levels, with the exception of Shaded Talent sitting a little bit over Chamu, now hitting level 3, everything evens out. Still a little bit away from ultimates, but we know once Koshka hits that level 6 mark, she's going to look for those very aggressive engages onto this Vox, locking him down and taking away the biggest damage potential that the side of Team Fero had.
It is going to be somewhat of a cat and mouse game for Fero to avoid the Koshka at all costs, right? You know, making sure you don't, play into that aggressive strategy of pushing in. It's okay if you give up a little farm. You just don't want to give up a massive amount of kills and allow the game to start snowballing and early objectives and whatnot. So you're seeing, again, they've allowed Koshka to get the Elder Treants, they've allowed Koshka to be a little aggressive, and they're only sitting down 500 gold, and that's not a steep deficit to be in whatsoever at about 4 to 5 minutes in the game.
Yeah, absolutely not. Now, we do have a little bit of a CS advantage in the jungle, specifically. Looking at TiVo, 28 to the 21 of Goddess Sins, 30 now to 21. The mobility that Koshka has is just so effective, in her clear speed is so massive. PvP Warrior, though, he's picked up that spell sword here in the lane. Again, we talked about it right at the beginning of the stream, that one of the buffs that makes Ringo so viable is the spell sword with its attack buff, as far as its base weapon power damage up to 110. But then Ringo also naturally suffers to energy regeneration problems because of the cost of his Twirling Silver. That's no longer the case. Once you've gone with the Spell Sword first item, you gain energy for each hit landed. You have additional cooldown speed as well, which is helpful. And oh man, Chamu, you might be here in a rough spot, taking a bit of damage. Has had to use his flask already, and with this minion candy buffed wave here, we get some damage down on the turret. PvP Warrior is going to take a lot of damage thanks to that Ordained coming out of Goddess Sins, who's level 6. He has the Fearsome Shade ready to go, as well as TiVo, level 6 here on this Koshka, has that Yummy Catnip Frenzy. This is a huge opportunity for both teams, and avoiding either of these abilities is detrimental for the team that wants to win.
Yeah, and you know, what has happened in the last couple minutes has been somewhat of just a slower pace coming out of Vision, right? We're not seeing this hyper-aggression that we saw maybe the first minute and a half where they were pushing further. Again, we're still seeing that dual rotation in the jungle where Shade Talent is going along with Koshka and helping push, but you're not seeing them really be aggressive, and that has a lot of credit to go over to Pharaoh and this team, just being smart and playing against the Koshka. I would say very well, Denamine. They're not giving over anything extra, and they're keeping this gold right within striking distance.
Yeah, they are. Ferox doing a great job not getting pressured early on by this Ringo and the Lyra combination in the lane. Got level 7 on the junglers. We've got level 7 on the box as well. Here comes the Hellfire Brew. What target is it on? Unfortunately, it's the Arden. It's not the target you want it to land on. So now Vision Gaming, looks like they might be just trying to force this wave up so they get some damage. But Team Ferox, here they come. All 3 members. We don't have a gauntlet yet, but we do have that Arcane Passes. God of Sins taking a ton of damage. There's the Flask and Fountain Pop to keep him alive. This turret is looking worse for wear as PvP Warrior is just clearing out these minions so quickly, poking out damage onto God of Sins and Jason every time he can. And it's really what we need to see out of this Ringo. He's doing a great job here early, trying to keep the pressure up. We just haven't seen a strong enough engage come out of Vision yet to actually be able to capitalize on how well PvP Warrior is playing.
Gods of Sin's doing a good job, though, not going down early. I mean, he was putting out a lot of damage. The temptation there is always to try to stick with the kill. He would have probably paid the price, and they did allow this turret to survive a little bit longer, but as you guys are seeing right there, not much longer, as it is going to be Vision Gaming getting that first objective.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and take that one down. That's a nice 600 gold buff going over to their team. And now it looks like Ferox, they want to try to return the favor with some damage on this turret. Koshka's forced to recall, so it's going to be only 2 members of Vision in the lane. Shaded Talent, no energy. Fearsome Shade is going to miss there. Members of Vision getting quite low here, and they're going to have to be cautious. The Hellfire Brew this time does land onto Jason. And PvP Warrior, again, the speed that Ringo clears out the lane, they're able to defend that turret, only taking about a fifth of its health away. And Koshka, you know, full health, looking for that aggressive rotation. Can she get the steal, though? Does look like she got it, but maybe not. Nope, that's going to be Jason. And now, Tivo, you're going to have to get out, man. Level 8, though, has the overdrive on the Twirly Death, so that's going to be a big spike of damage that comes out of this Koshka in these next couple fights.
Yeah, they're going to focus onto the gold miner here, but it's been kind of a slower paced game for this composition. A lot of this coming out from Pharaox just slowing it down, but it looks like even with this slower pace, we're seeing Vision do all of the things they need to do. They're getting the gold lead now, finally able to break away and start to extend this to 2,000. They're starting to be able to, I think, push the rotation. They're not, again, playing massively aggressive, but again, taking advantage of when they can push together as a team here. But we got to watch out as Gauntlet coming down, Denamine, but it is going to be blocked out. Blocked out, and not gonna basically start the full force engagement that would probably be coming out of Vision. Vision now looking for the fight. And they're going in with that Hellfire Brew, Denamine.
Yeah, and Vox taking a lot of damage, but Tivo taking quite a bit as well. Chamu, he is on the front line on this retreat, though, taking a lot of damage. That fountain is burned out from both teams, but obviously the Lyra has sustained throughout. And now God of Sins, he's going to block the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but it's going to be unfortunate for Jason as well as God of Sins. He's going to drop as well. Shamu, can you make it out? Here comes PvP Warrior. This chase might be a little too much. Oh, no! Oh, PvP Warrior just barely makes it out of that turret range. Gonna go ahead and use that reflex block as he thought that shot was coming. But now rotating down through the jungle, this is going to be another rotation going over to the side of Vision Gaming. And while they didn't have the best execution early on, they're making up for it here in the mid game where they've really got their heavy power spikes. This Ringo having the Breaking Point and Spell Sword complete, able to ramp up damage pretty quickly on in these fights. Again, doesn't have to suffer from the energy regeneration, but now they're on the run as Jason, he's coming. He's looking for PvP Warrior. Can he find it? There's the War Treads just purchased by Shaded Talent. going to get them out alive. But now with this wave here in the lane, I think Team Ferox, they're going to find themselves first turret.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to bring it down very low, but we've got another fight breaking out that could try to engage them to at least make them pay for this aggression.
Yeah, here comes the gauntlet. Jason makes it out alive. Now Shamu exiting that gauntlet. Those walls are going to drop. I think this is a dead Arden. God of Sins, are you going to pay with your life as well? Yummy Catnip Frenzy is going to get blocked, but Tivo, he's on the chase. God of Sins dropped low. I don't even think the Ordain is going to save him at this point. That's a double kill going over to the side of Vision Gaming. And PvP Warrior, he's looking to force up this wave. They're looking to get some objectives back in their favor here. As Team Ferox on a good rotation, we're able to even things out.
Yeah, and we don't even see infusions right now on Team Vision, but they do have the leg up as far as overall defensive items as well as offensive. Again, we're going to be able to focus on this turret. You see just 2 items on PvP Warrior. Might be a little bit low at the 11-minute mark, considering we haven't seen a whole ton of infusions. But a lot of that has to do with him just focusing on not just those offensive items, but also moving into that Aegis here. And it's now going to be that piercing spear that he's picking up. But again, a little bit of a slightly more defensive focus by this team. Koshka as well. You would expect a Koshka to build 2 items and then go into defense, but because the whole team is tanky, they are surviving these fights and they're looking to put the hurt on. Gods of Sin's not able to unfortunately get the damage yet at just 1 tier. Hellfire Brew coming in as they go into this fight yet again.
Yeah, they found some damage on the God of Sins, but Tivo has to be careful. He's a long way away from Shaded Talent. That Yummy Catnip Frenzy is not going to get blocked. It's on to Chamu. The Fountain did not get used. Will we see Tivo make it out here alive? It looks like he's going to. PvP Warrior, can you find the damage you need? It doesn't look like it. They have to retreat from this Crystal Sentry. And that's going to be Jason and God of Sins holding off the aggression, using only 1. It is 5-0 for the side of Vision Gaming. But these fights have actually been fairly even. Vision Gaming, they're just getting the slight better edge because their power spikes are here.
Yeah, I don't know if Jason knew how low Tivo got in that fight. Tivo was actually picking up resonance damage, continually dropping. They are going to pick up this gold miner, but it could be Ferox going in for this fight.
Yeah, they're looking for a kill. PvP Warrior, he's now trapped in. The block comes through, but it's not enough. That's going to be a kill
what a
shade. That's going to be a 2nd kill picked up for God of Sins now. Just like that, they put 2 kills on the board. 13 minutes in, no Kraken to take, but they're going to look to aim for a Crystal Sentry. Well, it's probably a bit of jungle farm as well. Yeah,
picking up a turret, picking up a Crystal Sentry. Those are a nice 2 pair of kills. I mean, they had the turret, so they are good. Again, getting that sentry off the board. I believe that is the first sentry for them. And again, huge job by Ferox to try to start looking to get back into this game. Baptiste and Vox are going to be great into late game. And as the Koshka starts to fall off, this is something you have to be mindful of if you're Vision. You don't want to let this game extend any longer than it had to. And a fight like that is exactly what lets a team like Ferox with this composition start to creep back in and win more and more team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to give away any gold. The side of Vision was starting to form a very distinct advantage, and they haven't been able to do so, off the result of these last couple fights. They were able to pick up 1 kill here or there, but it was on to Chamu underneath the Crystal Sentry, which helped force the opposition back. And then off the back of that play, Ferox answer back quickly. They pick up 2 kills and start to kind of even things out as far as the way the damage trades have been going. And I really like that Ferox, they haven't given up hope here. They were a couple thousand gold down. In fact, they're still about 5,000 gold down, but they're showing signs of life. They're showing that they still can compete with this team. And as the game gets later on, this Vox is going to get more and more scary.
I feel like they might be getting ready for this fight. Nice.
There's some shade out. They have the captain locked up, Shaded Talent. Here comes the silence coming out of Vox. It's Tivo on, getting some good damage. Shaded Talent put himself on the front line, takes a couple bad mojos, has to be cautious. PvP Warrior finding some good damage down onto Vox, but can't go anywhere thanks to that beautiful gauntlet from Shamu. And that's going to be a kill going over to Ferox, and the tides have started to turn. That might be a kill onto Tivo as well. A block is going to help get him out alive, but Shaded Talent, his fate is not the same in the enemy jungle. That's going to be God of Sins picking up a kill. And at the 15-minute mark, that's not where you want to lose a team fight. And Vision, they may have just given too much control over to the side of Team Ferox.
Yeah, Team Ferox, great job. You saw an early Crucible got burnt. by Shaded Talent in that fight. Before we saw, you know, it was kind of after the Fearsome Shade, before the Gauntlet. I think that was a bit of a miscue. You didn't even see an Ordain down, and they didn't need to use that Crucible then. Again, they were able to use this Arcane Passage to get out of the Gauntlet, but it was too late. I think they really need to save that Crucible to, you know, basically run out of that fight, because that fight was not a fight that they were looking to win. Good job by Pharaoh. I think baiting Vision into that tight spot and forcing them to kind of just commit to a fight that they weren't ready to win.
Yeah, that's definitely the way it looked, and now they have a Kraken marching down the lane. There is a single turret advantage for the side of Vision Gaming right now, but that should probably change pretty quickly here. Jay-Sean needs to get some more damage here, though, on the Vox. The survivability is nice, but if you don't end up having the damage, then this Vox is going to be able to outduel you at almost every state of the game, especially with the Bone Saw picked up now. It's Kraken taking a lot of damage here very quickly. We don't have the range on Ferox to really contest this Ringo's damage. And now, with the attention turning as this Kraken takes down that turret, this fight's breaking out. God of Sin's taking a lot of damage, but that Fearsome Shade does not get blocked. Here comes a Gauntlet. Jay-Sean, he's on the backline, but he's taking a lot of damage, dishing out quite a bit as well. Shamu taking a massive amount as well. Yummy Catnip Frenzy is going to get blocked up, and that's TiVo getting dropped. And Jay-Sean able to kite that one out, building up those stacks of Breaking Point. Doesn't apparently need the damage I thought he did. Now Ringo looking to return some of that damage as Vox is really single-handedly pushing them back thanks to this infusion. And I think that's all for Ferox. They need to get out now. The Ordain going to keep Ringo back, but they just need to go ahead and focus on this turret. Running out, if they lose their lives here, it could be an opportunity for Ferox to just finish the game.
One.
Good snare, though. Beautiful play coming out of Shaded Talent there. Might have been what they needed. God of Sins looking to find a kill onto PvP Warrior. Shaded Talent with a good block, though. Fearsome Shade gonna come out. PvP Warrior gaining some health back from that Imperial Sigil. Here comes TiVo. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy and Hellfire Brew are out, and Vision Gaming have done it. They are able to find the ace. PvP Warrior somehow made it out of that fight. I'm still not 100% sure how. Good plays coming out of Shaded Talent, though, standing right on top of that Baptiste, blocking out that final bad mojo that would have done PvP Warrior in, and now Vision Gaming clearing out some wave here, clearing out some jungle, looking for a choke point turret of their own, but only one turret stand between Ferox and a victory.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic job by PvP, but I want to note Shaded Talent had one of the most clutch sigils ever, actually placed the sigil right in the front side of the lane, opposite of where the Fearsome Shade was moving, and kind of did it simultaneously as the Fearsome Shade came out. That allowed PvP to move in the opposite direction of the Fearsome Shade and actually get in position to take out Gods of Sid. So, I mean, those are the kind of heads-up plays when you're actually helping your team position to get the best outcome of those fights. And again, you know, if you'd put the sigil behind him, PvP Warrior would have to actually get farther away from Gods of Sins, maybe not pick up that kill. Instead, puts in the right spot. Great job by PvP and Shaded Talent, and these guys have been playing together forever. Denominate. I mean, there's such synergy between them, and you can see it in that play.
Yeah, you absolutely can, and both teams are really poised to potentially win the game off the next fight. The Kraken is on the board, but if either team wins a clean fight where all three members live and they pick up an ace, you shouldn't need that Kraken. This Ringo has more than enough damage, and with Vox working into his third offensive item now and only one turret to go, Team Ferox definitely could look for the victory off the back of a fight too. So both teams have to be very cautious here. But as we look at the map, Vision definitely have the vision control, keeping their names strong here as they spot out Team Ferox, rotating down here. Hellfire Brew is out onto God of Sins. Smartly, though, they do allow that one through to keep their blocks for that Yummy Catnip Frenzy. It does take a decent chunk of health away, but again, they're not getting locked up for essentially 2.5 seconds by Yummy Catnip Frenzy in this case.
Yeah, we are going to see back rotation. Now they're coming forward. It's going to be a contested Kraken, Denominate. Huge fight, huge gauntlet.
Yeah, beautiful gauntlet coming out. PvP Warriors on the wrong side of this fight. Not able to get damage down onto the carries like he'd hoped, but there we go, turning his attention onto the Baptiste. He's able to get a lot down. Jay-Sean, though, he's got some stacks building up for him. He's looking for some damage. PvP Warrior is definitely starting to build up some stacks of his own as Jay-Sean's drop. He's on the front line, though, taking a lot of damage. Here comes TiVo. They find a kill onto Shamu. but Jason and God of Sins, they're still in this fight. They find 1 kill. Can Jason do it, though? There's the Atlas Pauldron, Shaded Talent. Can you do it? Jason is so low, but Lyra, not a whole lot of damage for herself.
Not a whole lot of energy, but neither does Jason.
Not a lot of energy either, you're right. And Jason, he's on the run now, understanding that against the healing that Shaded Talent has, likely just going to end in a draw. Also having to watch out for all these scout traps that Shaded Talent has been putting down. Definitely could have taken a chunk away, and that's a 2-for-2 trade. Neither team going to get the Kraken, neither team going to get an ace. And we're just going to see both teams back off, top off their health here, and wait for some respawns and look for the next fight.
Whew, what a fight, man. That last one was very close, nail-biting, almost even. Jason with these stacks is doing a lot of damage, and, you know, he only has 2 full items built, and he's already out-damaging PvP Warrior. That's a huge concern, Denominate. Like, you're a Ringo with 4 items, and you really just don't have the defense to deal. I love the Metal Jacket build. Granted, there's a Bone Saw on PvP Warrior to contend with that, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I really think that Jason, in these longer fights, if he gets that 3rd item, he is going to be a scary, scary force to deal with. Doesn't have an infusion just yet. Oh, he does get that 3rd item. Gets that Sorrow Blade right now, but no infusion.
Hellfire Brew is out on to God of Sins, though. A good use of the Vanguard there. Gonna save the block. Here comes the wait for it, though. That's a silence into all of the enemies. That's a gauntlet blocked there, and now it's Vision Gaming actually on the back foot as PvP Warrior, as you mentioned, without defense, is taking just massive amounts of damage. They've got an Atlas Pauldron down onto Jason, but will it be enough? There's a beautiful 3-man fear coming out of God of Sins. They are by their Crystal Sentry and could potentially use that to their advantage, but I think that's a dead Lyra. It indeed is, and now without that 3rd player, PvP Warrior and Tivo, they just need to get out here. Jason, he's coming in, but he doesn't really have the energy for this. PvP Warrior, in his attempts to stutter step, though, has put himself vulnerable to the damage from Vox, but has made it back to the healing platform, and that is a little bit of a life saved there by Vision Gaming. Tivo is looking to chase, but I don't know if this is really the smart thing to do here.
I think he's just trying to make Fero think that both him and PvP are moving in to stop them from starting up the Kraken. I think that was really the intention. I don't think he was planning to fight. PvP was staying back for a little bit, waiting to make a buy. And so because of that, I think what he did, and it looks like it's successful, Fero did not start up the Kraken. They were too afraid, and then when they saw Koshka coming in, clearly enough to just dissuade them, if that had been maybe their strategy. And right now, if you're Decisive Vision, you do not want them to start up the Kraken. You don't want to give them any kind of advantage whatsoever. Unfortunately, for Vision, they are on the back end of this game. I mean, they're down only 1 objective to nominate, but when you look at the Koshka, Ringa, Lyra composition into a Vox, you definitely see the advantage that Fero has.
Yeah, absolutely. And PvP Warrior, he does have some crit going for him now. So that Breaking Point wasn't really doing things for him the way he wanted it to, so he's dropped it off, gone a much more damage and brunt force heavy build. And Tivo with the Aftershock and the drawing a blank here. The
Broken Myth.
Broken Myth, oh my goodness, is definitely capable of putting a lot of damage down. There's a stun off of that gauntlet, though. Fearsome Shade comes through. An Atlas Pauldron down onto Ringo. That's not good for Vision, but equally, an Atlas Pauldron has been dropped onto Jason. Tivo has found a lot of damage, but needs to get out here now as well. PvP Warriors coming in. They find a kill onto God of Sins. Can they get the kill onto Jason, though?
Close.
Tivo's looking for it. So close. There it is. That's an ace for Vision Gaming, and just like that, when things were looking so good for Fero, I think Vision Gaming have just won this one. 45 and 50-second death timers on all members. This Ringo, having switched up, going the critical damage build, I think they're closing this one out pretty easily here.
Oh yeah, plenty of death timer time, and absolutely huge for them. Vision are going to pick up the win here, and in a game that I would argue was insanely close. Oh my god.
Yeah, excellent plays out of both of these teams. I expected it very heavily to be more in favor of Vision, especially with the draft that they got. But Fero, they put up a just brilliant fight all the way down to the end. 25-minute game. And Jason really played excellently here on this Vox.
Absolutely. When we look at the builds here, I mean, with very little, he was able to do so much. It was kind of scary, actually. I mean, you're looking at, like, as the game would go later, and once he built that Sorrow Blade, and then you start talking about infusions, he was able to do so much. Again, much better coordination by Vision that last team fight, and they needed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Ringo dropping out on the breaking point and going into more crit and more raw damage was a very smart ploy to go. The Bonesaw definitely needed to try to help get through the armor that the Vox had built, and it worked out very well for them in that last fight. Able to shred down God of Sids very, very quickly. They were able to take that fight almost incredibly cleanly. Tivo dove incredibly deep to get that kill. He did give up his life, but because he killed the Vox, it was nothing but Shamu being the sitting duck there at the end. They were able to pick up that third kill and close out the game.
Oh, Pharaoh, they're going to be looking back at the one that got away. This matchup, they were starting to put this in the bag, but unfortunately, they just could not do it. And really, really problematic for them. I mean, not able to get a victory. That was so close for them.
Yeah, it definitely was, but we'll have to look towards game 2 and see what the draft holds for us. Fero put up a great name for themselves here in VISPRO, and honestly, I could see this going to game 3 after that game 1, Dragon.
You know what? I'm going to be honest, I think so too. We could be going in for the long haul tonight. That matchup was insane. Again, it's been long matches all night, and we're in the quarterfinals, so you would expect it. I think maybe the Tribe game last night, where it was about 2 10-minute games, so a total of 20-minute games combined, was maybe not quite representative of the rest of these teams and the rest of the skill cap we're seeing.
Absolutely not. And I think they're the world champions. I have to favor Tribe winning the whole tournament, but if these teams can keep putting up strong performances like this, then anybody really could still compete. We've seen games, specifically in the online portion of tournaments, where Tribe does struggle. They really excel and get that live buff when they're in person together. That's obviously, we're here on an online tournament. This is not an in-person event, so that live buff, if Tribe don't play at their best, they could definitely fall to any of these teams.
So game number 2, starting off with that Blackfeather ban. I picked that, probably the only carry we've seen picked up on B-side with that first pick as a carry, as a power pick. Varia is going to be the next ban, which no surprise there, is basically all but I think 2 series have we seen Varia banned B-side right out the gate. So it's been a staple as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Varia's been pretty hit or miss. We've seen teams just absolutely destroy with the Varia. That weapon Varia that we saw on day 1 was just absolutely insane, almost impossible to deal with. But then we've seen Varia struggle as well against some of these very single target burst heavy compositions as well, such as the Ringos and the a Ringo Kashka composition could actually work very well into Varia as well. But the Churnwalker, again, powerful playmaking captain, going to be picked up first here on A side. And with that Blackfeather gone, it's a little bit more risky of a pick here on the B side first pick.
Yeah, very interesting to see. I mean, interesting to see that Blackfeather banned A side. Typically, we see it banned in the second round, but again, that Blackfeather's been prioritized, so now you have to think about that. Arden's going to be the pickup by Vision, which has been, I would say, Vision has loved playing Arden throughout this series, throughout this tournament, and I think they actually played it in both their games week 1, so picking up here is not a surprise. They are going to ban away the Ringo. So with Blackfeather and Ringo both banned, this is actually favoring Vision Gaming. I mean, they want to be able to pick a power pick on their next pick and not have to worry about Blackfeather or Ringo on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And this draft is definitely a little bit different than we've seen in the past. Just, I think it all started off with that Blackfeather ban. Again, we've seen typically the captain, any of the captains banned first, followed by the Varia. That allows that Blackfeather usually to make it to that second portion of the draft. That wasn't the case this time, so we defaulted to the Arden pick, going with that safe captain pick. Definitely smart. And as we look at the rest of the bans, this is now 4 of the strongest heroes that we see in the lane taken off the board here. So we're left with maybe not quite as strong as a hero pool, but a more diverse hero pool. There's not really one of those heroes, with the exception of maybe the Rona, but it's not up against a Blackfeather. So there are going to be ways that you can potentially counter this through, maybe going with the something like a Scarf, something that can constantly kite backwards and use the Spitfires to the advantage, stay away from the Rona as much as possible. And there's a bunch of options that are open because these meta picks are taken off so early.
No, I think the Rona pick is the last real strong laner, but you know what would be great into a Rona, something that's a little slow, if you could just stay away from the red mist, would be a Baron. A little risky because Rona gets on top of the Baron, it's deleted. It's going to be a Sky. This has been typically what we've seen play into the Rona. I mean, every single game, the mobility you get from Sky really helps keep that distance between you and that red mist.
Yeah, and Sky, one of the few flex heroes that can run Crystal Power in the lane. So we'll have to see if that ends up being a weapon. Sky, I think both are viable. I do like the Crystal Power Sky just because that forward barrage ramp up damage is so heavy. As well as having the Kroll in the jungle, he's very likely going to want to go the weapon power route. So splitting your damage, specifically against Arona, is very, very smart. But the weapon Sky can work as well. You're very effective at kiting with the weapon Sky. You're looking to build up something like the breaking point, just able to keep distance. The Sky in general is very good at doing against the Rona.
Last pick here for Vision Gaming with that Kroll. Clearly just to have a little bit extra sustain when they're going up against Rona. I would say with a Ardent pick, the Kroll is a much safer pick in the jungle. The Grace or anything that has that stun makes Kroll a little more dangerous next to a Rona, but with Arden, as long as you stay away from the red mist, you should be good on the Kroll. So Vision Gaming, I think, now have to look at ways to deal with the Sky. We've seen Taka come out in situations like this. We've seen, again, Assassin like Hero and Taka. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Taka specifically into the Sky makes perfect sense. Even the Kroll, unless if Kroll's able to land a strong Deadman or a strong From Hell's Heart onto the Taka, the Kroll just really isn't the greatest at sticking onto a Taka. Taka's movement, his deception with the Kaku, able to get in and out of the fights invisible, can definitely be very helpful. And it's going to come down to this Churn Walker and using scout traps and flares to his advantage. If you can get vision on the Taka when he uses that Kaku, then you can knock him out of it, negate some of that healing he gets, negate some of the freedom of movement that he has in team fights while he's invisible.
Well, we'll be getting into the match to see how Taka's going to go into this. Again, Taka typically does a fairly good job in the Sky, but we've seen some Sky players are so skilled that they're able to deal with the Taka. Again, you got to hit your skill shots with the Sky, and you've also got to be smart. The sustain that a Taka has as an assassin is pretty high. If you don't take him out right away, he's susceptible to burst, he's susceptible to damage, but if it's a slow amount of damage, if you don't hit your forward barrage, he could dodge around that. Then you're in real trouble. If you can hit it all, though, you lock him up, maybe potentially counter that Taka, even on a Sky and a Kroll. But we're jumping into the game, everybody, so let's go right into Nominee as we get in game number 2. And it is Team Farah looking to pick a game off of Vision and maybe take this to game 3. They absolutely need this win here because a loss will be their end to the tournament. And Vision moving on.
Yeah, and I do think that Ferox, they've put together a good draft here. If they can keep this Taka at bay specifically, and again, that is almost entirely going to come down to the captain, Chamu, here on this Churn Walker. He's got a couple different things that he can do. I mean, you could land a lucky hook onto the Taka while he's boxed, but you're really looking for that vision control. And that's going to help them limit what this Taka is able to do. If Taka is able to have his free reign over this Sky on the backline, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Sky to have the effect into the Rona that they're hoping for.
One thing I want to talk about, as we do have a skirmish breaking out here to Nominee.
Yeah, we do. PvP Warrior taking a bit of damage on that frontline Shaded Talent, looking for some damage onto Jayshawn as well. Oh, wow. But that's going to be first blood going over to Jayshawn on this Sky. I think they're going to go ahead and drop him as well. But TiVo, are you going to make it out alive? A Vanguard and a Protector contract coming out of Shaded Talent, going to help TiVo get out. And it's very likely going to be the Crystal Taka in the jungle, but Shaded Talent, you're going to lose your life as well. 3 kills on the board, 2 for the side of Ferox, 1 for the side of Vision, with First Blood obviously going over to Jay Sean on the Sky, helping accelerate this Crystal Sky, who needs gold very, very heavily independently to get to the point that she's able to deal with the Rona.
Excuse me.
Apparently Dragonborn is dying.
No,
right
I'm
now.
good. I just, I went to say something, and I did not know a cough was coming on. And I literally just coughed right into the mic. So sorry about that. I tried to get that muted. No, you know, that was really well played. The Rona doesn't have the same level of sustain early on, so while she's still an admirable foe, she's still going to do a lot of damage. She's not going to be able to just outlive everything, and again, they avoided some of that early, got on top, took the Rona out. I like what they're doing, putting a lot of pressure on the PvP. This is how they're going to win this game, is if they can continue to put PvP behind the 8-ball. But Jae-Sung has to be careful here. Nice job by Vision to gank in the lane. A good gank getting that kill.
A good gank getting 2 kills indeed now. 3 on the board for Vision Gaming. And with Sky down, they can hopefully force this wave up and try to... it's actually a much more massive wave than I thought it was. I panned over to Sky, and that is a huge wave here in the lane. No way you're going to force that one under. No way you're going to deny any farm from the Sky here, aside from maybe 1 or 2. But instead, it might be PvP Warrior missing out on a couple. He's down here in the jungle getting some...
What is this?
But that's a big wave in the lane.
Yeah, he recalled.
Sky is actually rotated as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he recalled with that huge wave in the lane. I know you want to share the ambient gold with Taka, but you do not want to do it at the expense of giving up that entire wave. So it looks like Shaded Talent did a good job stalling it. A few minions here or there were lost, but overall, PvP is going to get the majority of it.
Yeah, good plays coming out of the captains here in the lane. Obviously, it was Chamu securing any last hits that would have been lost due to that massive wave, as well as you mentioned, Shaded Talent holding that wave for the most part away from the turret and allowing PvP Warrior to get back up here and get some farm. Jae-Sean, though, 4 minutes in, only sitting on 13, going on 15 CS here. And that's a little bit behind from where we'd like to see this Sky. Trying to get gold early on, needs to get that Dragon's Eye online if we want to deal with this Rona and that sustainability that she brings to the table.
The jungle has intensified as we are seeing those Crystal Sentries move up. Gods of Sins looking to try to counter jungle, and he does get it. Able to take away that Treant. That's a nice little find for him. He's a little bit behind Tivo. But again, Cruel can afford to be a little bit behind early. It's really that mid-late game power spike. It takes a little bit longer now in the mid game, but again, late game, he is going to be dishing out a lot of damage. He's going to be very hard to bring down.
Yeah, absolutely. And with God of Sins having picked up the Shiver Steel first on this Krull, we've had a couple changes to it, so obviously the build path has changed a little bit. It does now offer you some attack speed in addition to the health and the slowing effect, 25% attack speed, and we know how beneficial attack speed is on a Krull. Getting those stacks of weakness, bringing down the damage output potential of an enemy, specifically on the Rona, who is going to be up in the face of this Sky as much as possible. Getting that slow is going to allow Sky more freedom over the fight, as well as building up those stacks. Going to limit the amount of damage that PvP Warrior is able to do. So I really like what Team Froa put together here, and it's going to take a lot coming out of Vision if they want to win this one.
Shiver Steel is a great item here with this composition. It's not just for Cruel's kit that it works so well, it's with the Churnwalker and with the Sky that it's going to be a really effective item when used correctly. We are seeing, as everyone's starting to get to level 6 on the carries, this is a fight that it looks like nice power spike that Vision want to take advantage of, but it's going
Vision, they don't have the gauntlet though. Shaded Talent is taking a lot of damage. Jae-Sean, again, able to dance around this Rona. A good from Hell's Heart gonna help keep that true. Evo is looking for the kill. He might get it. That's a good Suri strike, but I think the bleed damage... Oh, Jae-Sean! You're gonna die to Shaded Talent though, right? Like, that's what's going on here? Yeah, Shaded Talent comes through with the single punch there, and now PvP Warrior on the run from God of Sins. Spectral Smite just not enough. Tivo now is going to go ahead and X-Versu in, but with the low energy he has, very susceptible to this Krull at this point. Shaded Talent is going to be taking quite a bit of damage from Krull. Those weakness stacks building up, allowing Krull to sustain quite heavily. as they drop off, Kroll loses that huge advantage, and now with the Taka going ahead and boxing out that Kaku, so effective at getting away from the Kroll. But interesting mechanic is the hooked on chain coming from the Turnwalker does follow the Taka when he uses that Kaku. But now PvP Warrior down here in the jungle with TiVo and Shaded Talent, they pick up 1 kill. Can they find God of Sins? This Kroll is very, very tanky, but here comes the Sky. That death from above is going to help pick up 1, but now Sky against a full health Taka and this Arden here is probably just going to have to get into the lane, use a Suri Strike to get away from this Taka here, and try to just survive at this point.
Yeah, good job by Jay Sean. He does get away. That's a dangerous situation to be a 2v1 against an Arden Taka. But nice job. I mean, Gods of Sins on this Kroll has done a fantastic job at dealing with the Taka and the Rhoda so far. And that's a hard order in the early first couple minutes of these games to deal with. I mean, they're very bursty. They have a lot of damage. They grow sustained as the game goes on. You can easily get behind, and Kroll is not that far behind. He's actually ahead of TiVo by just 1 CS, which again for a Kroll is a great shape to be in. And, you know, he's continuing to put some pressure. Really, the issue has been Jay Sean in the lane. He is struggling against PvP.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is due to the way this Sky build started out. He did start with a Book of Eulogies and a Crystal Bit, which did not help his laning in that first initial phase. It's very difficult to last hit with a Sky against a target like Rona, who has so much sustain in the lane, thanks to being that melee laner with the Book of Eulogies. But, you know, I think that's really where it started to put Jay Sean a little bit behind. And once you're a little bit behind on Sky, it can be a little bit slower trying to get the crystal power to actually be able to clear out the wave with things like your forward barrage and your Suri Strike. So the Dragon's Eye now online should help things kind of start to even out for Jay Sean in the lane, but needs to finish off an Eve of Harvest, needs that energy regeneration to offset the damage over time that the X-Retsu provides. A good Suri Strike over the wall, but a Kaiten going to help follow it up. Now it's Jay Sean on the run, and here comes Taka for his second strike. Going to be a Suri Strike across. I don't know if Jay Sean's going to make it out alive, though. Taka is in his box. They have vision, but an X-Retsu coming through, going to finish off that Sky. Chamu and God of Sins, they don't have the damage to fight this 2v3, and that's going to be Vision Gaming. They're going to pick up the first turret. Objective control in their favor, 3,000 gold in their favor, and Vision, despite the Sky, you know, in the late game, going to be a massive threat. They're trying to take the advantage early. They're not wanting to let the Sky get to that late portion of the game, and they're actually going to take down 2 turrets off the back of a single kill. But now here comes Jay Sean. Can they find the damage? It's looking like Chamu is actually going to be willing to drop. And now Shaded Talent, he's trying to get the damage and trying to block out some of that forward barrage. They're going to get it. There's 1 kill. There's 2 kills. TiVo now, he's looking to find the third. Can they find the ace? There's the Kaiten. There's the X-Retsu. Can they get the ace? There it is. 1, 2, 3, Vision Gaming. They're going to look for a choke point turret now in Ferox. They were looking so good through the early portion of this game, and one by one, they stayed a little bit too long on low health and gave up way too much side of vision.
And a lot of this has to do with Jay Sean being behind in farm by a considerable amount. You see it in the items. Only has a Dragon Eye at 10 minutes when you've got basically the 2 most critical items for PvP offensively to have, that Breaking Point and Serpent's Mask, as well as a little bit of defense. So you have PvP Warrior in a spot where it's kind of his power spike, and you're so far behind when you're Jay Sean that early on, you're not doing the damage. Your forward barrages are really not being feared by Vision at this point. Cruel, he's kind of in a tough spot too. These red mists are something now he has to watch out for. And, you know, again, you don't see an echo on the side of Chamu yet either. So he's only got 1 major stun here with that trespass that he has to execute perfectly. So he might hold it a little bit longer than he needs to. And so far, again, great fight for it. Another good fight for Vision. Oh my gosh, just blowing up Jay Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good execution because it looked like Jay Sean wanted to line up that Suri Strike to get out of Harv's way, but the gauntlet came down from Shaded Talent. There's no block yet on this Sky. Very susceptible to the damage that this Rona and Taka were able to put out. Obviously, Taka very good at diving onto that back line, X-Retsu damage over time, the Kaiten costing no energy. Very easy for Taka to sustain his energy management, as well as PvP Warrior. You know, he has that Serpent's Mask, he has the Breaking Point, but also has that Shiver Steel ready to go as well, helping slow down that Sky, helping the Rona and Taka stick onto that target. It's going to make it all the easier for them to actually deal with this Sky, who's struggling at this point to get to the late game. We're almost 12 minutes into the game, and we just broke 70 CS here on the Sky, well below the 10 CS a minute that PvP Warrior is definitely hitting.
Yeah, just not a good game for Jay-Sean. They are maybe looking to contest this gold miner, but I would say Jay-Sean's a little bit too far forward, needs to be careful. They aren't going to get it, and now another fight, another engagement could be coming from Vision.
It looks like it. Here comes Taka onto that backline. Mortal Wound, a good Suri strike. I just don't think Sky has the damage or sustainability. A good stun coming over the wall, though, and a good Suri strike to follow is going to keep Jay-Sean alive a little bit longer, but it's only a matter of time. Jamu is now dropped. That's no healing for the side of Furo. And one more fight. That's all it took. They might be able to force and crack open one of these turrets. I definitely don't think they can take the game. There's no Kraken for them to take either. But they can definitely, with only the captain coming up right now, they can definitely start to make a dent.
Yeah, and they've got a huge wave of minions pushing through as well. So that wave's going to able to push through and drop those barriers. They are looking to close it as they balance the damage between the two turrets to dominate. This one's going to be close. They are looking for the kill as well on these two turrets, as well as maybe trying to take out Sky.
Yeah, looking good for them. They have the turret down, but PvP Warrior has taken a lot of damage as well. Taka's coming in, looking for some damage of his own. Sky, however, again, the Eve of Harvest keeping alive through that damage over time. But with both carries down, it was a little bit of an overstay from the side of Vision, but they have all 5 of their turrets alive. They have all 5 of the enemy's turrets down. They have a Taka who can sneak into the enemy's base if Vision isn't put down appropriately. They have the means for PvP Warrior to potentially jump the wall for a backdoor Shaded Talent. Obviously Gauntlet, Vanguard, either of those can be used to sneak around as well. So we'll just have to see how this comes out, but Team Fero, they have to play this portion of the game. They literally have to play every single fight perfectly, because even losing out on one hero at this point is going to be just game over and game going over to Vision.
Vision have been playing phenomenally. Fero has really struggled for the entirety of this matchup, other than that first couple minutes, and that is not going to be good here. The Sky still struggling, not even at 100 CS yet, and the gold deficit is going to hit 10,000 at this point. Jay-Sean having to buy infusions without having the Broken Myth completed yet is heartbreaking, to say the least, for them right now. It's not the position you want to be if you're the side of Fero. I will say about giving up those 2 kills to nominate, that Vision, basically, I think they were okay giving up those 2 kills. Shaded Talent, man. The guy, so well positioned, understanding that when they started to give up the damage and when they were basically not good with the fight, getting back into position so he wouldn't give it up. But it looks like we might have
PvP Warrior.
He's going in. He wants to end it. He might be able to.
All they have to do is stop the recalls. If Sky doesn't make it back, there really shouldn't be much here. Gotta Sins and Chamu, they get the stun down, but Rona, so much tankiness. Red Mist able to help build up breaking point stacks as well as get damage on that Vein Crystal. This, by all means, should be game. Shaded Talent looking to finish this one out. They have the attention of God of Sins and Chamu. That is game number 2, going over to the side of Vision with a clean 2-0 victory. However, that first game was looking pretty good for Fero, so I'm really excited to see them as we get into the Spring Challenger Series.
You know what? They really played well. We talked about, them having to show up big against the big team, and Vision Gaming was the #1 challenger team, and they gave them a run for their money in game 1. I'd even say game 2, they put up a pretty tough fight. But you can't really hang your head. This is the first tournament this roster's together, and they, made it to the quarterfinals and went up against arguably what might be one of the best teams in this tournament next to Tribe. They're 3rd seed because of how the ranking works out. You got Nova and Tribe, who are Vainglory 8 teams. Nova's world champions, but Vision they are looking hot. They are looking like they're going to be making a good run into the semis and maybe even to the grand finals this time around.
Yeah, they definitely could, and only time will tell. We obviously have plenty of high-intensity games set up for you guys over the next couple days. I believe finishing with the finals on Saturday, correct, Dragonborn?
That's absolutely correct. We've got our semifinals. I do want to mention a slight change in format starting tomorrow. As we get into the semifinals and grand finals, we move to best of 5. So we'll be bringing you one matchup tomorrow, and then the next semifinals will be on Friday, and we'll conclude all of this with our grand finals taking place on Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Make sure you guys tune in here every single day this week, live on VIS. Thanks, everybody, for coming in and making another successful stream. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys later on here in the week. So, till then, guys, good night.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band.